Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Sight Club from the Tom Numbers Show and Top of Your Game. And I've got a guy that's been at the top of his game for a long, long time in football, but other disciplines as well. Joey Barton. It's good to have you, buddy. How are you?
Tom, nice to finally talk to you, mate. Yeah, good to meet you.
It's good to have you on the show, man, and thanks for coming on. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And I've got to thank our fellow friend, Matt Le Tissier, for getting us together. And you put out a tweet just a moment ago about a show I did with Matt last week. And it's come across your algorithm, so you said, it looks like it might be going viral. So we can talk about that. But you had a question just before. You said, how did this all come to, what happened? Was it a hobby? What happened? Yeah, ask away, buddy. Yeah.
So yeah, that obviously we were just talking briefly before we started recording, and I was just like, "How did you get into it, Tom?" It's not the normal thing to get into, kind of numbers and patterns and stuff like that. So what led you down that path?
It's a good question, Joey, and it's quite unusual because you're right. We weren't taught this methodology at school. It's called gematria. That's the technical name for it, and it's very simple. So anyone can do it if they put a bit of time into it. It's A is the first letter of the alphabet, so it equals 1. B is the second, so it equals 2. C equals 3, all the way through to Z or Z, 26th letter. And really, it was born out of lockdown, Joey. It came to me in lockdown. I didn't know it. But I was just trying to figure out what was going on. The world had gone bonkers. It turned upside down. And I was just trying to make sense of stuff. But for want of a better phrase, something was guiding me to it. And I know, intuition, a higher intuition that was kind of pointing this stuff out. I'd never heard of gematria. I kept calling it incorrectly numerology for about 3 or 4 months. It is a form of numerology. People are probably more familiar with the term numerology, but I didn't even know what gematria or simple gematria or simple English gematria, as its full name, was. I kind of stumbled upon it intuitively, and I think at some level probably a divine component. Not to get all religious. I'm not a religious person. I mean, I've brought up, but I'm not. I'm inquisitive. I'm like you, Joey. I ask questions. I like to look around corners. I like, gematria is kind of a bit like a periscope. It helps you thread things together. And I noticed some numbers for you just to start us off. So I looked at your Twitter profile.
666.
You're just exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you know what? So I did a show a couple of weeks ago with Steve Davis, and I did the one with Matt last week, and I'm doing the one with you this week. So I wore my 88 miles per hour t-shirt, Back to the Future. There's a lot of codes in films, a lot of things I noticed. Anyway, I thought I wore this one with Steve, so I'll wear a different one with Joey. But then I did your numbers. And Joey Barton actually comes to 125 in numbers. So Joey's 55, Barton is 70. You add them together as 125. If you do 88, so just the number 88, MPH, the abbreviation for miles per hour, comes to 37. So if you do 88 plus 37, or MPH, it comes to 125. I was like, all right, I'm going to wear the t-shirt for Joey, and I'll start the show off with that. So I've got Joey Barton.
See, but my name's Joseph. My name's Joseph.
I know it is. So I've done
my name's not Joey,
well for you. Yeah. So also, well, actually, the word Joseph is 73, which is number. My brother's called Joseph as well, so I'm very, obviously very familiar with the name. But if you do Joey Barton 125, I looked on your Twitter and category, it says spiritual leader. The word spiritual But hey, mate, take it, own it, own it. Spiritual is 125 in numbers. So it's Joey Barton in numbers, spiritual 125. Dark to light, 125. Time travel, you got that whole thing with Back to the Future, 125. John Kennedy, 125.
Still alive, didn't you say? Did they say on that clip he's still alive?
What my perspective is, Joey, is the things that we know about globally, most of us don't have a first-hand experience of it. We're only told through the media. And we've been shown quite regularly over the last 4 years that the media, 99% of the time, aren't telling us the truth. So I don't pay attention to the media. I go on intuition, I go on numbers, I go on, things come to me. So I see things in my own reality. And they might not make sense to other people, but I say, believe me, take it with a pinch of salt, disbelieve me, it doesn't matter. I tell you how I do it, and people can do it. I mean, people talk to me about getting recurring numbers. Quite often they might see 222 or 444 or 111. They might see it on their wristwatch or on the cooker clock or the speedometer, whatever it is. So a lot of people get that, and people call those angel numbers. And so I think that the universe, the reality that we're in, whatever it is, one way that it can kind of wink at us and communicate with us is through numbers, through synchronicities. The numbers are almost like a thread that you can pin things along. And it's
well,
fun.
yeah. If you believe some theories, like we live in a kind of simulation theory. I'm not arguing for or against it, but and then some people get in the Matrix, kind of binary code and numbers. Interstellar was another movie. So I don't know. I'm unknown. I'm unknown. I'm an agnostic myself. But it would take a lot of convincing for me to believe in, patterns and numbers. But then also, star signs and tides and moons. We have to be open-minded. I'm not saying.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You said Interstellar. That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And one of the things I just realized recently, the numbers on. So you talked about Joseph. So if you do Joseph Barton, Joseph is 73. Interestingly enough, the word number comes to 73 as well. Do you remember that TV show when we grew up, number 73? I think they knew about it. It was like 73, 73. It's the woman.
73?
Yeah, there used to be a kids show. Well, you're 41. Yeah.
41, mate, yeah.
And
what channel?
What's that?
What channel was it on?
I think it was on ITV. You know what's her name? Torsveg, that does QI.
Oh, Sandy Torsveg. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Sandy. So it was her. I think it was one of her first ever TV shows. It was a kids show, but it was number 73.
Oh, I was always out playing football in the street, lad.
There you go.
I was always out, Tom. Always playing footy. I didn't sit in and watch the telly, lad.
Yeah, that's it. And it might have been because I'm 49 now, so I'm set probably 6.5.
You're a couple of generations there. You like 3 or 4 years as a kid is a completely different scene on the kids' TV.
Yeah, but
music
number
and all that
is 73 in numbers. So if you do Joseph Barton, it comes to 143. 143 comes to the Tesseract. You know the bookshelf that dissolves with Matthew McConaughey when he changes dimensions at the end.
Oh yeah.
So that's 143. The Tesseract is 143. Joseph Barton's 143. November 5th is 143. I think that happens to be a really important.
That's how many yellow cards I got in my career. Well,
how many? 143.
I'm only joking. I don't know. I don't know. I've never counted them actually. I got 9 reds. I think I got 9 reds, but because I'm constantly reminded of it.
Well, that's ACE. So the word ACE, A-C-E, A is 1, C is 3, E is 5. So ACE, that comes to 9. The ace of spades, 127, is November 5th, November 5th. Johan Cruyff.
We've seen that, Cruyff,
yeah.
I mean, he was a chain smoker, Johan, so he's done well. How old would he be now, Johan, if he's still going? What did you say? He's in witness protection or
76.
something?
I feel, and I can't prove it, I can do numbers on it and intuition. And that's the thing, I'm not really into, because like I said, the way that we get our proof outside of just our own little community is through the TV and through media and what we're told. I just don't believe that, Joey. So I go on, and
I know, but why? What would be the reason in them being allowed?
so
What
the
would be
numbers,
reason
so
keeping
the
them
numbers
alive?
on it. So I look at the leap year. So 2012 was London Olympics. Quite a lot of symbolism in that. Future predictions of what happened in 2020. You got a big Boris character. You got these kind of Grim Reaper over the children's beds and all that stuff, and things that look like. I
Yeah,
won't
there was
say
a bit
the
of
word.
weird stuff in there, weren't there? Yeah,
A
there was
lot
a bit
of
of weird stuff.
weird stuff. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff. And you had the stadium kind of with the pyramid, quite a lot of stuff. So you know what I'm talking about. Then you fast forward the next leap year, it's 2016, and that was a really weird year. So you had Brexit happen here in England. Interesting enough, the numbers for Brexit are 78, which is Kennedy. Trump got in power. He got voted in. Trump is 88 numbers, but in the numbers, you have to travel 88 miles per hour for Back to the Future. Back to the Future is 176, November the 5th. That's a big election this year. You had all that. Leicester City football. Leicester City won the Premier League. They nearly got relegated the year before. They won the Premier League in 2016. Bless him, Claudio did the ding-a-ling, did the bell. And then the next year, they almost get relegated again and he gets sacked. Then you had all these famous people. Now, I know famous people die each year, but there seems to be quite a lot of famous people that just kept dropping like all throughout that year. I mean, you had George Michael dying on Christmas Day. He sung the song Last Christmas. You've got Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, and then her mother dies the next day. So she dies, and then the mum dies the next day. There was just a lot of it. So I looked in anyway. I had a kind of hunch on this with Johan, and I looked at the numbers. Johan Cruyff is 127, November 5 TH, November 5th, the Ace of Spades. And then March 24th is the day that he passed of 2016, comes to 238, comes to 1997, if you spell that out in numbers. Princess Diana passed in 1997. My show, the Tom number shows 238. But anyway, if you do Johan Cruyff, 127, March 24th, add them together, comes to 365, the Witness Protection Program. I've got a good friend of mine, Derek Johnson.
Yeah, but why would they lie about his death? I can get Kennedy. I can get that.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't think Lee Harvey Oswald was the sole
No, I don't think so.
Killer of Kennedy. But also, I mean,
Yeah.
and I've heard a few different theories about that. Read the whitewash, etc., etc.
Yeah.
The problem I have is, what's the point in faking Johan Cruyff's death? Like,
Okay.
I mean, that Princess Diana, I can kind of get.
Yeah.
But what's the point in Cruyff?
I don't know too much about Cruyff, but there's 2 pointers, and this is my thinking on it, Joey, and people can either entertain it, dismiss it, total bonkers, or maybe there's something to it or nothing. This is why I think it could possibly be the case. So back in the 70s, he was the king of football. King, interestingly enough, on your Twitter, you've got 2
With
kings.
Pele.
Well, yeah, Pele. Yeah. Well, they had their
Eusebio, George Best.
Pele, you said, but he was one of the kings, wasn't he?
Cruyff was a big superstar, yeah.
Yeah. And interesting enough, on your Twitter, you've got 2 crowns, 2 kings. Your age 41. Yeah. My initials, TSB, is 41 as well, which is king. So anyway, nice.
That used to be a bank. That used to be a bank, didn't it? Was that TSB? Was that a bank?
Yeah, the TSB bank, the bank that used to like to say yes. Yeah.
And there's no more.
Positive. What's that?
And it's no more.
It's no more.
Sometimes you got to say no. Sometimes you got to say no.
Sometimes you got to say no, Joe. Sometimes you got to say no. Sometimes you do. But Johan Cruyff. So I thought of that. I was like, well, if he's gone into witness protection, if that's a possibility, why? So I have a feeling that it has something to do with years ago, his whole thing of the stuff with Adidas. So he had the stripes. It says on the surface that's just a sponsorship issue. But I have a feeling there might have been a reason behind that, and I think we might find out a bit more in time. I think a lot of these corporations have been involved in other stuff that isn't pleasant. And I can't confirm or deny that, but I've done lots of.
I know, but it is a strange thing. Like Johan Cruyff, he was obviously a celebrated footballer, then became a fantastic coach, manager.
Yeah.
Then he was a big personality in kind of media in terms of the budgies when he lived in Spain. A chain smoker as a player. I get you kind of anti-establishment, maybe corporation mindset of Cruyff, because he was a real maverick and a real liberal with that. But I just don't get, you know, the fact that he goes to Spain and does what he does in Catalonia, is kind of anti, you know, the establishment again. But I just don't like, and obviously in being a hard living man in terms
Joe,
of, I just don't see the point in fake. Like,
yeah, no, I get it.
You can see my brain going, why?
Of course, I may be wrong on that. I don't feel that I am, and I don't have any evidence other than the stuff, the way the world I operate in is through synchronicities, numbers.
But again, you have to, for an extraordinary claim, Tom, you must produce, rather than just numbers add up to a certain number, you must, by the kind of, is it Occam's razor, that kind of Hitchens approach, you have to say, you know, to make an extraordinary claim, you know, in kind of religious aspect, you know, you must have extraordinary evidence. You know, I would imagine the Cruyff funeral, the Cruyff family, Jordi Cruyff's behaviour, his wife, and you know, his estate, and you know, there will be a paper chain that you can follow. Now, look, I'm not saying you're right or you're wrong, but also I'm like, what's the point in faking?
Joe,
I can get John F. Kennedy, but struggle with Johan Cruyff.
I hear all of that. I guess my only caveat for that is I say, let's have a look beyond November 5th this year, and maybe the territory's changed.
Bonfire night, is that?
Say again?
Bonfire night.
Yeah. It's the election night in America. I think that date...
It may well be bonfire night over there then.
It might be, yeah. I think that date's a really important date. I think it ties into so many things. I've got the back, you know, Joey Barton, 125 time travel, I've got the t-shirt. Back to the Future in numbers comes to 176. November the 5th, 176. I don't know if you're a Back to the Future fan, but if you rewatch the movie, Emmett Brown, 148, the crazy scientist, time traveler, 148. He invented time travel in the story. And November 5th was the day that he discovered it. I think some reason we've been told in our consciousness as an English people, and I guess globally, but here in Britain, remember the 5th of November. I think there's a reason that's there. And I guess, you know, time will tell with all of it. But
it is because it's a finger of the level of discord in the countries that there was a group of men, wealthy landowners, wealthy people who were prepared to finance people to blow up the House of Parliament with the king in the building. So I think it's very, very important we remember that. I mean, we're not really taught that, Tom, in school. We're taught about the French Revolution, you know, the Bolshevik Revolution in 1916, but we're never really taught about, you know, or taught really with any great depth of knowledge about the actual uprisings that have taken place in our country. And I think the way that the government are going on and what's going with the profiteering from, you know, Tesco last week, you know, the utilities companies the week before, Thames Water, and obviously they're putting raw sewage into the sea. And I think, you know, the people have had enough. Now, that's the reason I think we should remember the 5th of November, because we've been badly let down by the people that have been entrusted with responsibility and the taxpayers' money.
I agree, Joey. Something's coming. People are getting, you know, more and more is coming to the surface. More and more is being shown. People are seeing that, like you say, we've been let down by these entities, the governments that, you know, dictate to people. Interesting enough, you talked about simulation. You brought that up at the beginning. The word simulation in numbers is 133. Government is 133. It's quite interesting. White House is 133. Anyway, that is as it is. I feel that something is coming. You said about the French. So I did obviously look at your numbers because Marseille's 94. That comes to November, comes to Ace of Spades. We've already mentioned Cruyff 127, the Ace of Spades, November 5th or November 5 TH. But also in your name, Joey Barton 125, it comes to France travel. And, you know, you obviously travelled over there, did your football, you know, so.
Well, I got kicked out, really. I got kicked over there with my 12-game suspension for the sending off in the Manchester City game. So I was kind of exiled. So I can understand kind of Napoleon getting exiled. You know, I got exiled from, you know, the FA pretty much with a really a really tough ban. You know, they give me 3 red cards for the one incident.
Yeah.
So that was disappointing, but also it led to a fantastic opportunity to go and play in another country for an incredible club. And I turned what was a tough situation into a positive and a fantastic life experience, not only for me, but obviously my family, Tom.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, Joe. I mean, you know, Marseille, former Champions League, you know, winners and European Cup.
The only French side, yeah, the only French side. I mean, Paris Saint-Germain have spent billions chasing it, but haven't quite achieved it, and have obviously been knocked out or look close to going out this year.
I think Monaco's been to a final, haven't they? But not won it.
Monaco, yeah, when Mourinho beat them, didn't he, at Porto?
Porto, yeah.
I think Monaco got a couple of finals, which is incredible for a club that size. But obviously at that point, you know, they didn't pay into the French tax kind of situation, so players could play in Monaco and earn net money. And obviously, if they played in France, you had to pay, 42 to 48% tax.
Yeah.
So obviously, Monaco had a natural advantage in the French league, and that's changed. They've changed that, but obviously, for a long period of time, they could attract a lot of good talent because they could pay great salary and obviously tax free.
Yeah. It's a principle.
I think Marseille was Bernard Tapie, who was a big, I think, media guy. Obviously Berlusconi with AC Milan. These big, what's his name, Perez at Real Madrid. These big football clubs are so big in the cities and so influential. It's very important that the big businessmen and all that, the politicians, have got them under control.
Yeah. What's your thinking about? Because I liked that when I saw that about spiritual leader.
I keep fucking about. I'm just messing around, and sometimes I put comedian, sometimes I put entrepreneur.
I think it's great, Joe. I think it's
just
brilliant.
You can do what you want to do, can't you? So, like, literally, I'm just pissing about with it now. I've been labelled that many different things. In the last 6 months alone, I think I've been called a misogynist, a sexist, a racist, a transphobe, ableist the other day. So, like, I'm almost like scouts, like collecting the badges now, saying, "No, I ain't got that one now." And it's just become ridiculous. The world we're living in now is very, 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 very polarized in terms of, I think Yuri Brezhnev talks about it, the kind of useful idiots, in spite of all the evidence and all, like, you just can't change some people's opinion. You're either Israel or you're Palestine, you're either Russia or you're Ukraine. It's like, why do you have to be any?
Exactly.
And the world we're living in now, you've got to pick sides. Social media, everyone's got to pick a side or a team, or make themselves feel relevant or important. And the virtue signaling about being good people online, when actually in real life they're actually pieces of shit, and they treat the people they interact with like shit. But online they're these really good people who, anti-racists, anti-fascists. And then you ask these people, do you see in color? Oh no, I don't see in color and all that. And I'm like, you're a fucking liar. Like you're a liar. Like we all see. We judge everything that's in front of us, whether they've got ginger hair, whether they've got brown hair. You're constantly evaluating as a kind of hierarchical chimpanzee that's obviously always aware of danger and threat. So that's how I don't work in numbers. I just judge people on kind of how I see them and the energy I feel off them. But also, I'm always, as I say, Tom, I'm always open to there must be all different people who have different perceptions out there that can obviously help people make sense of the world, or get people thinking. Like, we don't have to agree. I probably always disagree with you on Johan Cruyff unless he actually comes up to me and shakes my hand and I go, fucking hell, Tom, you were right there. But also, it's important that you have the space to be able to, put ideas out there and obviously have them challenged.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, and that's what you said, energy. So I go off of energy. Energy actually 74, which is gematria, which is the numbers I use. And DeLorean.
So gematria, is that like a cross between geometry and like something to do with language? Is the same thing, the geo
Good
thing
thinking,
starts
actually.
with?
Yeah, good thinking, Joe. I would say, yeah, it probably is because of the GE at the beginning. So gematria is they've been using it. It's like a hidden language. They've been using it from like for centuries. You know, advertisers use it.
So where have they got like texts and all that of going back? Have they got any like where did they keep like the books?
Well, there's a verse that I don't use this version, but there's the Hebrew version, and it's a little bit, you'd have to study it, but it's some of the words are times by 6, some of the letters, but not all of them. So it's actually some of the words are times by 6, but then others aren't. So it's actually quite there's a few levels to it, but they've been doing their stuff. Yeah, you look up the history of Hebrew gematria. It's something that they've been doing for quite a while. That's not
well, obviously
obviously
we know other countries have different ways of doing it, you know, obviously hieroglyphics and all, you know,
that's it.
manner of different things. So I kind of get that, but also I'm like, how far does it date back? Where there's like, because I would imagine like anything, there'll be a source of information you can follow. But so is it quite hard to learn or quite easy to pick up?
I found it really easy, but there was a bottleneck of learning, and that was literally, so what happened, Joey, like I said, in lockdown, I remember Boris Johnson saying you can stay in, he said the key to the coronavirus puzzle is to stay indoors, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, but who was ever listening to Boris? Like, who
well,
would
exactly.
ever
I'm going to tell you what
him?
I did. So I went out for 7, 8, 9 hours a day, just because, you know. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, the world has totally flipped on its head, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So I know a lot of people, if they're at home, they're just watching TV. I was just trying to research, and anything that came into my head, I'd be like, right, what's that? And I would just kind of trying to discover. So
where are you researching though? What are you researching? Where are you researching, on the computer or in books or?
Yeah. And this is how the numbers come to me. So the bottleneck was having to count out the letters. So I was getting, for want of a better word, downloads of information, thoughts, ideas, concepts that I'd not thought about coming to me. And I realized pretty quickly that they could be added up via the alphabet. But I still had to count them out on my fingers. So I was getting all these things I wanted to look up. But the slow point was having to work it out on a piece of paper or count it out on my fingers. So I disciplined myself. It took maybe 10 days, maybe 3 weeks to be able to go A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. Just so it was like a codex to a language.
So you made this up yourself then, or are you working out text that you're reading, or you've just invented this yourself?
No, I just do it myself. There are websites out there where people can type in a word and they'll get the value of it. And that's good. That helps people, but I don't use those. Something comes to my mind, like with you today, I was like, right, I'm doing a show with Joey. I work out Joey's numbers. And then I noticed, 125, that's time travel, 88 miles per hour. Oh, spiritual, 125. So that's how it works. So things come to me and then I just kind of follow my nose on it, really. And I just remember them, I write them down, I'll text myself ones. So I've got thousands of them. I just, you know.
But it could be just coincidence, couldn't it also? Like,
it could be.
Because if you look at like all the other words, you could go, well, that only adds up to 44, that one. So obviously it becomes kind of, you could suffer from cognitive dissonance in that regard, in terms of it only picks up kind of what it wants to pick up.
I've definitely got a bandwidth of things that interest me and things that I'm interested in. But I'll give you one example of someone that's using these numbers, and everybody knows who he is. I've already mentioned him. And you can pull this up, anyone can pull it up. So if you look at President Trump when he's talking on stage, he has a text donation campaign number. I don't know if you're a Trump fan, indifferent, don't like him. I'm not sure where you stand with Joey.
Pure comedy value. I think he's a fascinating watch, especially the stuff he's doing recently. I don't know whether he's a stand-up comedian but for me, it's an interesting watch. I mean, you know, Obviously, when we talk about the media and media's perception, I think if you follow the Donald Trump kind of saga over the last period, it certainly makes you question what the narrative is from certain big media corporations.
Oh yeah, well he's brilliant. He's entertaining. He's funny, and
he's nuts.
Anything with Trump
like.
on it, he's his box office. Whether you like him, hate him, indifferent, people can't keep their eyes off of him. But when he does a speech, when he's talking during his rally, he's got a text donation campaign number, and it's always the same, and it's 88022. So you've got 88, and you spell out the word Trump. T is the 20th letter, R is 18, U is 21, M is 13, P is 16. You add all that up together, it comes to 88 Trump. You have to travel 88 miles per hour to time travel. Connection with the Back to the Future. Anyway, then the next one is...
Tell you what, you've ended up down some fucking rabbit holes here, lad, haven't you?
Well, this one's an obvious one. So this is one that people can see. So, and then you got 22. And 22 comes to MAGA. So his motive is Make America Great Again, MAGA. They call it the MAGA crowd. You do 88.
Yeah, I've seen it with the red cap and all that, yeah.
That's it. You got it. So you do 88 plus the 22, and you add them together, it comes to the number 110, and 110 comes to the word president, and it's President Trump on the rostrum. So my point is, he uses that. If you do Donald J. Trump, it comes to 148 numbers. It comes to simple gematria 148. It even comes to his book. So I've been reading his book, Art of the Deal. 148 is...
How many pages has it got? How many pages?
That's such a brilliant question, Joey. You're on. What made you ask that?
Well, I'm just thinking, it obviously, if it's going to tie into your numbers, it must have 148 pages.
Well, you'll go, okay. This is a brilliant question of yours. So, something, Guy, you might not have felt, but something's made you ask that. So look at that. So there's 300. So the last chapter is 355 pages, and then it's 369. The index. Nikola Tesla numbers are 369. People say
Tesla was big for them, weren't he? Yeah, Tesla was big for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tesla. They say that Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, was an associate of Nikola Tesla like 100+ years ago. That was all to do with time travel. And
what's going on with your fingernails there? You haven't. I've got big, lovely fingernails there, haven't you?
They grow super quick. I need to cut them, but they grow. My hair doesn't grow as quick,
like
but
Wolverine.
my nails grow super quick.
Like Wolverine, Hugh Jackman.
I'm a Wolverine. At night I'm a vigilante, and I go out and I'm one of the X-Men.
So what's the Star Wars? What's the Darth Vader thing behind that? Isn't he the bad guy, Darth Vader?
Yeah, but if you know his character arc, it goes from he was good. Anakin Skywalker is 175 consciousness, actually.
I've started watching Star Wars, but I've decided one of my mates is a big Star Wars fan, like proper bang into it, loves it, got all the t-shirts and all that, knows it line for line. Yeah. And he's fumes that I haven't watched it. So I've said to him, I'll start watching it, but I'm going to watch it in the opposite order from the most recent one backwards, and he's just going bananas. So I've watched the most recent one, or one of the most recent ones, and my plan is to go back and watch them all that way.
Do it.
But I'm not into kind of that fantasy stuff. I'm a bit more into the kind of war and reality, and obviously because I'm a sportsman, so I'm a kind of see it, do it. You know, I'm an evidence-based guy. I mean, you know, obviously theoretical and all these numbers and that. It wasn't really my bag in school, mathematics. You know, I just kind of done it to get the test passed and get to PE or get to the playground for the game of football. But I do know, if you want to be good at engineering or sciences or whatever, then obviously, having a grasp of kind of numbers and the power of numbers is very important.
Well, we said Nikola Tesla, that's 119 in numbers, a reverse of 9/11. But Star Wars is 119 as well, interesting enough. And then going back to here, and I was talking to Pat Cash the other day, he was playing a guitar, and I said, Pat, if I want to take up an instrument, it would be guitar.
The tennis player?
Yeah.
Is he guitar? Yeah. He's a bit of a long hair dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a rocker, and I was like, well, I could play with the plectrum. But anyway, so you asked the numbers on this. So you've got 369, the Tesla numbers, and then you've got 355. Now we've already spoken about this phrase.
Well,
If
we were
you
looking
do
for
the phrase,
148.
say again.
We were saying Donald Trump was 148, 148.
Yeah, we are. So the art of the deal is 148. Donald J. Trump 148. Simple Gematria 148. Time Traveler
deal, all right. Yeah.
148. Emmett Brown from Back to the Future 148.
Number one
this
bestseller.
one, Joey,
How many is that? Number one bestseller. What's that on the top?
well, number is Joseph, so 73. One is 34. DJT Leap. Best is 46. And I'll work out seller in a second for you. But 355. So we spoke about remember the 5th of November. If you do the phrase remember the 5th of November, it comes to 355 in numbers. Trump's election this year, 355. And he says the week, and even here when he says the week that was, that comes to 176 in numbers. Back to the Future 176. November the 5th, 176. All this stuff's been coded. He's been doing this for a long time. You know when he used to misspeak?
I didn't think he was that clever. How did he get collared with the recording then saying about grabbing the women's pussy if he's this clever, if he's this fucking super math genius? Do you know what I mean? He seems a bit, and I get it. He seems a more, if I was American, I'd possibly vote for Trump over Biden, but mainly off, Biden's fucking senile.
This might go viral, Joey. So the word pussy, the word pussy is 100. That comes to the reset, it comes to reversal, and it comes to time machine. Maybe Trump was telling us something because they say, do you know about the Baron Trump? You know Baron Trump, his son?
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, he's a big lanky thing, isn't he? Yeah.
6'7" now. Just did a show with Patrick Bet-David, PVD, and a few others.
Yeah, I don't mind him. Yeah, he's a good podcasting guy.
Yeah, Pat's good. Patrick comes to 78 in numbers. Kennedy again. But Baron Trump, there's a whole bunch of books that were written about time travel, written 100 years ago, and they're called Baron Trump. The Marvelous Adventures of Baron Trump.
Yeah,
time travel.
I haven't read this.
About?
Is this Atticus? Someone Atticus?
Ingersoll Lockwood. Ingersoll Lockwood.
So I haven't got that down these rabbit holes. But I've heard about this, that there's someone who saved the world was called Baron Trump or something in this.
Yeah.
In this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who knows? Has Trump read the book and then obviously named him Baron for that reason? Because obviously the book will have been written before fucking Baron was born.
Good question. Yeah, it's a good question.
Maybe Trump's read it, and obviously he's always had political aspirations. I would from as long as I've been aware of Donald Trump, he's always there was always talk of him maybe one day running for president. Obviously, nobody thought he was going to win, because they thought they were going to get the first female in, obviously Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Yeah,
they got their eye wiped there, the mainstream media, because they obviously predicted Hillary to win comfortably. What's going on now with Trump is very bizarre in terms of when we know what we know about Biden and the suppression of the kind of laptop.
Exactly.
And yet, the political opponent in America looks like he's going to be tried to kept off the ballot for because they're running him through the court system. So I do agree, Tom. I think we're living in strange times, but also I don't think that these super mathematic geniuses. I can kind of get. I've read a little bit about Nikola Tesla and that kind of 369, and I do get basic geometry and engineering and stuff like that. The Fibonacci sequence, Michelangelo, like that. I do get there's some merit in numbers and sequences, but also I do really struggle to try to see like how it predicts world events. Certainly when it comes to people who do feel clearly influential people, but I wouldn't class them as absolute geniuses. Donald Trump, case in point.
Yeah, we do live in strange times, Joey. And to be fair to you, the stuff I talk about now, the only way I can describe it, and people can take it as it is, but this is my experience. We've all got our own experiences in life. 2020 came in and the world flipped on its head, and I was always inquiring. I was always asking questions about everything. Like you've always been asking questions, you're like, why, you're always asking questions. And I always ask questions. And then something came to me in 2020, and I got I just got this download of like just many books and encyclopedias worth of numbers. It just came to me, and so I've just run with it, and I've had fun with it. And
So what,
and
like
I
a,
enjoy-
like a kind of an awakening, like what you read
Yeah.
about in a kind of
Yeah.
Bible, like, you know,
yeah,
or could that have been, you know, the weird world, you know, it wasn't a normal time. So
no, it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
obviously what went on and the effects it had on people, who knows whether that, you know, madness and genius, Tom, are very, very closely aligned.
Occam's razor,
I'm
Blade
told.
Runner, it's right on the edge. 114
So I'm
is
told.
trump card. Yeah, it's right there. You're exactly right, Joe. Talking of, so the razor's it. So I've got here, this is my bookmark for the Trump book. So I've got Blade Runner. I've watched it.
Is that?
Yeah. But in
I
numbers,
haven't really got into that, but that, like, I'm not really, as I say, I'm not really into like Star Wars, or like I'm really into stuff that's happened, like history, or
yeah.
because I'm a sportsman, I'm into sports, obviously stuff that's happening or happened. So
Would-
I kind of get where you're going with numbers, because when I was in the coaching, obviously
Yeah.
we only have derivatives of 11, but obviously all you're thinking about is sequences and numbers. And the more I've studied
Yeah.
top level coaches, it is about sequences and patterns that move through the pitch. So again, I'm not poo-pooing the
Yeah.
kind of, you know, but I do find it, Princess Diana being alive, and John Kennedy and Johan Cruyff being in witness protection, you can see me skepticism.
Of course. But you know, it is. It totally is, Joey. And I welcome your healthy skepticism and questioning. I think it's brilliant, you know.
So again, for me, I'm looking at it going, surely you can go to the fucking casino then, or look at the fucking horses in the racing post and find a sequence. And I think a great way to prove you're right on numbers would be to predict some future events and make a few quid off it.
That would be fun.
That's what kind of Warren Buffett and them guys have done. They seem, you know, Nancy Pelosi and her husband seem to be fantastic predictors of the future, and obviously have turned that into a lucrative industry for them.
That would be fun. You know, when you just said about history, you're more interested in history.
Yeah.
So if you look at this, so we talked about Blade Runner. Blade Runner in numbers is 114. The word history in numbers is 114. Trump card, you talk about the casinos, and he used to own casinos. Trump card is 114. Frequency is 114.
They bankrupted them, didn't he? Didn't he lose all his money at Atlantic City?
There was the thing with, what's his name? Was it Lee Iacocca? No, Carl Icahn. There was something, but I'm going to get to that when I'm only a few pages through, but when I get, that'll be in there, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a propaganda piece, mate. They always are.
Yeah.
Especially knowing how much of a narcissist Donald is. I mean, you can't become a billionaire and president unless you are, actually, but
well, billion is 73 in number, comes to 73. Joseph 73, number 73, billion 73.
I'll give you the fascinating one, Tom.
And you like to sell it.
A million seconds. A million seconds.
Yeah.
1 million seconds is how many days?
Let's have a look.
Don't Google it, but like it's 6 days. All right.
Is it
6 days?
So God created the Earth in
is
6 days in a million seconds.
Okay. Yeah, and he had the Sunday off, and I got his feet up, smoked his pipe. And a billion seconds is how many days?
American billion or US?
Any billion. 1 million seconds is 6 days. 1 billion seconds is how many days?
That's what I'm saying. So American bit. So you've got UK billion, which is a million times a million, or if you do the US one, which is probably the more normal one, that would be 1,000 times a million. So that would be 6,000 days.
So they say a million seconds is 6 days, and a billion seconds is 33 years.
Is it?
Yeah.
33.
So that's why when people think, oh, he's a millionaire or a billionaire, and I'm like, no, there's a massive difference. Like, massive. And this is the thing that winds me up when I see Tesco turn 5.5 billion profit when people are struggling to keep the heating on, and your nan's got to think about putting a coat on to sit in the living room, and she's worked all her life and paid a pension and paid everything. And I think it's, you know, when I see them people are struggling to be able to afford a foreign holiday because the cost of living crisis is biting, and then they're pumping fucking raw sewage into the seas. So you can't even go and have I think it's disgusting. And as I say, if they were these super geniuses, they wouldn't get caught kissing people and feeling their arse right underneath the cameras in a government building when they're the health secretary. They wouldn't get caught driving to Bernard Castle or with their MP's expenses for the second homes or tax avoidance or evasion schemes. So I think you give them too much credit, Tom, in terms of like these really intelligent people. They're not. And you only have to look at what they've done in this country.
I'm not a fan of the governments and all that.
Whoever you think it is, whoever these people are who lead, these media organisations or these government organisations.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan of them. No.
But again, you talked about Trump. Anybody like that, I do think there's a lot of chances in the world who, they duck and dive. Look at Lord Cameron. Obviously presided over Brexit, somehow has ended up in the House of Lords now, and he's doing walk along shots from all different kind of Hollywood angles to make themselves look cool. You've got Rishi Sunak unelected, you've got Hamza Yousaf unelected, you've got these people who were considering like the best to lead us are absolutely miles off it. I mean, you wouldn't let them run you a bath, never mind run a fucking country. And I think you got to be careful not to give them too much credit. I think
I don't give any of them credit.
Not to distract people in terms of.
Don't misunderstand me. I don't give any of the UK government credit for anything. No, I said Boris Johnson when I said I wasn't saying I'm a fan of Boris. I was just saying when he said that statement, I was like, they're telling us to stay indoors a lot. Well, I'm not going to just watch the TV. I'm going to be out all day, every day. But then the rest of the time, I'm going to be researching. That was my point with Boris. So I'm not a fan of any of the others. No.
But if I logically, so I don't know you, Tom, it's the first time, but if I logically, like I was just talking to you and I said, all right, when did you first find this new skill? And you said, look, in the middle of COVID, I was fucking locked in my house and this come to me. You can see as a logical person, you'd go, you might have fucking cracked up there. That could be, that could well have been, as I say, some of the greatest minds ever, your Teslas and all that, they were, probably seen as absolute crackpots, tinfoil hat merchants or whatever by certain people.
So I've been thinking of doing a line of tinfoil hats, Joey.
Yeah. I mean, it'll get done.
I think they'd go well.
Do it like a silver cap, like Balenciaga or something. Will do it. Kim Kardashian will wear one, and then you'll be kicking yourself.
No, not them lot. It would just be Tom number silver hats. Yeah, 88 with the t-shirt and then a silver hat.
So you weren't one of these people who was going around burning fucking 5G masts and all that in this lockdown period, was you? Because it got a bit crazy out there, like obviously, and you can understand why, because it was the first time in anyone's lifetime, they'd been locked in their own home for a prolonged period, which is absurd now. You think about it thinking, as a studier of history, I always thought, how did the Second World War, how did that come about? And what happened in 2020 made me realize, actually very, very easy. So my concern at this moment is how close we are day by day inching towards a global conflict because people are choosing sides instead of using common sense.
Yeah. I think I see a few things. I see people choosing sides. I also do see certain groups coming together because I think we have to unify. But I agree. I think the global trajectory, I think something's coming. I think there's going to be something. And I think once we get to that, I think we'll see a lot more clarity beyond it. But I can see it ramping up. Everyone can see it ramping up. Something's coming. I don't know exactly how it will turn out. They could push the end button. They could push the nuclear. That could go. They could try and do that, and it might push everyone right to their limits. And then I think we might see what the nature of reality is after that.
The problem you've got is it's a zero-sum game. If they do that, then and I've heard all these other people saying all the billionaires are building bunkers or whatever it is, which
it's like Fight Club, but then they'll have no one to make their dinners for them.
Well, also if you're thinking about it, and there's too many people on the planet, and the planet's heating up, whether you believe in climate change or not, planet's heating up. We also have to be aware of human beings must be
I don't
making
know about
some
you, Joe,
impact.
but it's been pretty cold here. The last few
No,
months
no,
here, it's been pretty
I was in
cold.
Tenerife. It was quite warm, but I've heard it was pissing down here. So for me,
It's
I look at
April and it's still, I'm like, oh, it
Tom.
feels like it's December, you know?
Yeah, but Tom, we also, and seasons and all that. We have dry spells, heat waves,
Yeah.
whatever. Certainly one thing I know from growing up in the UK is how volatile the weather is. 4 seasons in one day sometimes.
Yeah.
And we expect a regular pattern of weather. If something regular doesn't happen, then we think, there's got to be something going wrong. So we need to sacrifice another goat or sacrifice another human or, sacrifice all
Sacrifice
petrol
is
cars.
73.
Sacrifice or sacrifice, clean air emission zones and all this nonsense where almost like the clean air stops because there's a camera charging people for dirty air as opposed to clean air. So my thing is, we also have to be aware, Tom, we can't be naive enough to think there's 7-8 billion people on the planet all requiring or wanting to have kind of first world lifestyle, even though half of them don't live in kind of third world lifestyle. But everyone's aspiring to have a car, a mobile phone, a computer, an internet connection, a PlayStation. So all the people in the third world, are wanting to have, because now we're all connected via the internet, that their tastes are changing. So we have to be aware of, when that happens, consumers and resources, obviously, that's going to do some kind of damage to the planet. Obviously got to feed people. You obviously got, the impact of people just living day to day, sewage, etc., garbage. So we have to be aware of, we are doing something on the planet. I'm not saying we're driving the polar ice cap to melt. I'm not, a good enough scientist or been to the North or South Pole to work that out. But also, we clearly can't keep going on being.
What do you think about Antarctica, Joey? Talking to the South Pole, what do you think about it?
Well, I'm fascinated by, kind of the explorers that have gone out there.
Admiral Byrd.
Yeah, obviously, for me, it was one of those places, wasn't it? Like Everest, where man was trying to get there just because it was kind of there. And then I've heard the guys, the guy done a podcast, I think, with one of the US Navy SEALs, where he's talking about kind of Raytheon or Lockheed Martin or something having a big base there. And I mean, it would make sense in terms of, if you were a big defense manufacturer, you would want to probably be at the magnetic pole, wouldn't you? There must be some benefit of being at the north and south magnetic pole as opposed to everywhere else on the planet. There must be differences of magnetism, of energy in those spots compared to other spots. But I do believe there is a significance to obviously the Incas temples, the pyramids, and obviously some of the stuff that they think kind of predates known civilization in what was once the Sahara. So have you seen any of the Göbekli Tepe stuff, the Graham Hancock stuff that was on Netflix?
I've seen little bits of Graham Hancock. Pyramids, yeah, all over the place, all over the world. Yeah.
But the pyramids are something about the dimension of the pyramid is the circumference of, like, so they actually knew the height and circumference of the world, and it's the same numbers within like a massive, fractional point to the equator, and obviously the obviously north to south pole. So they think the Egyptians knew obviously of the size of the planet and our kind of place relative to the solar system. Yeah. Which we're obviously we've lost that technology, the hieroglyphs or whatever. And Hancock's been a big advocate in questioning what kind of Egyptologists have taught us about what kind of happened there. Their big argument is the Sphinx is, it shows signs of water erosion at its base. So, that says water flowed up and next to it. So at one point, that was a very fertile valley. And then, they obviously find Göbekli Tepe and other stuff buried in the ground in obviously Turkey, and science as we know it is forced to concede ground again and says, look, we actually don't know. We thought we knew everything, but we don't know. We didn't know that. So I think there's a lot that we don't know.
My pyramid here, Joe.
Oh yeah, okay.
Chunga and organized pyramid.
So how do you think they built them then, Tom? How do you think they got built? Is that
looks to me like some kind of biotechnology, like you said, something that doesn't exist now, or it's been hidden from us. I mean, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy talk about the number 42 maybe being the key to the universe, and 42 is the angle apparently of the incline on the pyramid. The pyramid is 119 Nikola Tesla again. I think there's something to. I'm not an expert on the pyramids, but it fascinates me from a distance. I'd love to go and see the Egyptian ones. I'd love to. Egypt is 73. Joseph 73, number 73. So they knew something for sure. Have you heard about Tartaria? Have you ever looked into that?
Is this where it's something to do with the ancient kind of Russian lands into kind of,
Yeah.
Siberia and
But all across, even into Europe, like so Tartaria, they say, was another civilization that got kind of wiped out. It's to do with the mud flood, apparently. You see some buildings that kind of were there and some are buried. And Tartaria again's 88. You've got today, actually, Copenhagen just had a fire at the stock exchange. Copenhagen in numbers is 88. Scotland, where you played, is 88. Edinburgh's 88. Budapest is 88. Moscow's 88. Tartaria is 88. Romanov with OFF is 88. Yeah, so Russia, but even kind of bigger, broader. And it seems to be this kind of another hidden civilization.
Russia got beat by the Dutch. Russia got beat by the Dutch in the European Championship final, or the Soviet Union, it was in 1988.
You're right, they did. Yeah, they did.
Marco, that famous Marco van Basten tournament where he scored that absolute.
That's a word. You know what? He's in my all-time, because Messi and Ronaldo haven't retired yet. My forwards are Romario and Van Basten in my all-time 11.
Yeah, I seen Van Basten at the back end when he'd kind of suffered some bad injuries. Romario was incredible. You'd struggle for me to get, proper Ronaldo R9 out, at his best. He was
Well,
brilliant.
that's him as well. He's another great one. I was like, do I pick Romario or Ronaldo? And I think I go for Romario. Romario reminded me of like another Maradona almost, but I hear that.
Just a fox in the box. I mean, they'll never. Maradona's the best ever, I think. I mean, Messi pushes him close, but
I think Maradona's the best ever.
So have you heard about? So if you get into Hancock and all that, then you end up on that kind of younger Dryas impact theory in about 11,000 BC.
Tell me about that, Joe. I don't know about that.
They believe there was a kind of meteor strike on the North American kind of, obviously the ice cap was further down because the Earth was a bit cooler at the point. But they believe that there was a massive meteor strike on the northern American.
There's one in Arizona. I've done it.
All the geology and all that backs it up. So Hancock and that go through it. But anyway, basically it wiped out whatever advanced civilization was there. So there's a big argument about kind of Atlantis was somewhere in and around the Caribbean, but obviously because this massive meteorite strike hit the polar ice cap, it melted all the ice and sent like an ice tsunami like they've never seen before, which they can see as geologically ripped through the land. And they believe it's absolute, whatever's been in its path's been wiped out. And then obviously you've got, if you go back into the kind of early civilizations, I was reading a bit of book about the kind of Aztecs and the Incas, and they believe there was these people who begins with a T. I don't want to even try and pronounce the name, like Chihuaxasin or something like that, who were these kind of ancient people who came with all this knowledge. They just arrived with all this knowledge. Something like that, yeah. Something like that. That's it.
Yeah.
I haven't got the book in front of me. It's over there. I'd have to get up and walk away to get it. But basically,
I'm going to go and grab my clippers while we're
Go on, I'll grab it. Yeah, I'll get
his
name, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah. Here they are, everyone. I'll have to be doing this again in about a week to 10 days time. Super growth. If I could do that for the rest of me, for my hair, that'd be great. The nails, something I'm blessed with, and they go very quick, but they're nice and white. So it looks a little chilly up there. it's not too bad. That well, it was bright earlier. It's a bit overcast now, so just temperature-wise, it's just a bit chilly. Oh well, there we go. Yeah, Matt. No, I'm saying Matt Hancock. Yeah, it is Matt Hancock. Not Matt Hancock. Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock.
Sorry,
Get my Hancock.
Graham. I can't find. I don't know where that book is. I'll have to try and dig it out, and I'll send you the name over. But it was these guys who came to them and obviously showed them which plants you could eat, how you should align your fields, obviously towards, obviously the solar, and then they kind of built pyramids. When you read it, they built pyramids, but they built them into the ground, so it was like arable farming. And obviously the sun starts on the start of the summer solstice here or something, and then obviously they knew by which part of the field it shined on, so that it was built like a pyramid, but it was to grow crops.
Right.
But it was also a giant sundial for them to set the seasons. Right. And it was these guys who came and taught them the technology. So whether that was as a result of we're taught in the Bible. When I was in school, we were Roman Catholic, so you're taught in the Bible about Noah and the flood, and I think all the Abrahamic religions have that, and there's lots of different cultures who talk about whether it's the Aztecs and the Incas, about these people coming with this knowledge, and again Hancock, that's one of Hancock's books, Supernatural. He's done a really good show on Netflix, which just opens the mind, and again a lot of it's based on kind of the discoveries that were made in Göbekli Tepe in Turkey.
I need to watch more of Graham Hancock. I've seen bits of his stuff, but I've not seen the Netflix series. I have to watch that. That sounds interesting.
Well, especially if you're interested in the pyramids as well, because he's challenged a lot of kind of mainstream Egyptologists on what they're saying is, the reasoning and all the stuff that goes on in and around the pyramids. So it's interesting to watch that as it unfolds.
Yeah. You know what the numbers are on the pyramids, Joey? You're like this.
Go on.
138, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Can't get away from him.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to, unless they find a way to stop him.
And I mean that in a good way, but I'm speaking on behalf of you.
So are you wanting Trump to get in? Are you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But why? For what? Like, you just don't like Biden, or?
No, I mean, I don't even really care about Biden. I think he's probably a masked actor, in all honesty. When he came to Ireland, you talked about Hunter. Hunter was with him, and he was scratching the back of his neck. It looked like this kind of like a Mission Impossible mask on the back of it. He pulled it down, and then it kind of just stuck, and then it all kind of reformed and went back into position.
So where was this? Where was this?
He came to Northern Ireland I think it was about a year and a half ago. So when Biden came to Ireland, there's footage. It's somewhere. I can dig it up somewhere. It's out there though.
But you weren't there. You didn't actually see it.
No, just from TV cameras again.
I know, but you've seen them deep fakes. You've seen them deep fakes and all that. You have to be careful. And
it could be a deep fake.
I do think he's lost his marbles. Like, I don't think he's all there. I think he's an old man who's certainly suffering from some kind of brain impairment, but also, he's a career politician who's obviously, part of that big machine, and obviously he's just jockeyed himself into position. I mean, the strangest thing is Kamala Harris is his kind of vice president. I'm like, if anything happens to Joe, which could easily happen based on how old he is, then she's in charge, and you're just like, oh my good God.
We've got the two Kamala and Camilla.
Yeah, so who's running with? I seen Vivek's going to step in with Trump, isn't he? From what I've seen, I liked him, Vivek. before he
I
obviously seceded?
I don't think Trump has announced who's going to run with
Yeah,
him
he hasn't
yet.
said he's going to be his VP, but he's gone over to Trump's side. He's
He's gone
thrown
to.
his
You're right.
support
Yeah, he
behind
has. He's
Trump.
gone
Yeah.
over to his side. Yeah, he has. He's gone over to his side, and a lot.
And what about in this country where you've actually got a vote? What's your thoughts on what's going to go down politically here?
You know what, Joe? In all honesty, I barely watch it. I just think it's theatre. I don't think it. I don't believe in. I don't believe in it. I think it's all just shenanigans. I think. Yeah, I don't even know who's up for it. I mean, I know Sunak is, there, but I don't. So years ago, remember the whole thing with George Bush and what was his name? Was it John Kerry? Not Kerry. Al Gore.
Dick Cheney. Oh no, yeah, Al Gore. Yeah.
You remember when they did that?
Yeah, something in Florida or something like that.
Yeah, Florida. So I remember that as I think it was a kid or a young, in my early 20s, whenever it was, and they told us back then this is all rigged, and I just was like, yeah, whatever. I've never paid attention to it since.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I was, you kind of want to see people, or believe people to be good, but if you just look at, like, for me, you only have to look at the John F. Kennedy assassination, and Martin Luther King and all, like, and John Lennon, like, and you just think, like, the world isn't right if that kind of stuff's going on, and this illusion that we are free. I mean, and all that kind of stuff. Well, we learned in the lockdown that we're not.
Exactly, they're telling us.
Yeah,
they told us. It's like we're your master.
They just showed you.
Exactly.
And this is the thing about that Yuri Brezhnev, the guy who said, look, this is the way they'll kind of KGB, the plan to subvert the West. Kind of, pointed at a lot of things that's happened. But also the thing was about useful idiots, which struck me, which was, in spite of all the evidence, overwhelming evidence, they will not change their opinion. So, like, you can waste your time. So for me, I'm trying to focus on stuff that I know I've got, like, the majority. So the dead easy wins for me. Like, loads of people think women are crap at commentating on the men's game. Like, so I'm always going to be in the majority there because men are just not having it. Listen, there might be some men out there, the minority, who are desperate to get the leg over, or just don't know, have a real lack of confidence with women. So I'll say pretty much whatever they can to get in favour. But the real men out there are just like.
And then the hot women will secretly despise them when they say that. Anyway.
Yeah, well, again, there's all Charles Darwin's theory of evolution.
You're red blooded, but I know how it works. You know how exactly it works. That's why, like you said, that's why you're in the majority, because you've got such you're telling the truth.
Well, but the problem is, that's the thing. It's like, if we can't tell the truth, then how are we going to get the complex sorted? If we can't say up's up and down's down, what chance have we got of solving some of the real complex issues that humanity, or certainly our society, is going to have to solve in the near future, the medium term, and the long term, in order for our kids and their kids and their kids to be successful? Because pretty much, if we carry on, people keep getting forced to choose sides. Well, we know where that ends up. Remember the 5th of November.
355, right at the end of the book. Right. You're right, mate. And you said complex. Complex is 88, Trump. Scotland.
I ever guess how many pages in this book?
What, the Hancock book?
Hancock book.
I reckon 450 or 515.
756.
Really?
Yeah, and on the last page here, he's talking about DMT. So I don't know.
Is
what
he?
I mean, you might have to go and see a shaman, lad, and go and get right into the recesses of your mind there, open your mind up properly. Was you smoking weed, or was you up to on the ale, or what was you doing when this?
No, I don't. I'm pretty.
Numbers came to you.
No, I just.
Are you quite straight shooter?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I don't really. I mean, I love my grub. There you go. Confirmed by I've got my cold laser wristwatch there, Joe. It was on for 30 minutes.
What's that for? What does that tell you?
That's just so there's a company that I work with called Spooky 2, and they do scalar wave machines. So that helps with healing and well-being. And then this one is a cold laser wristwatch. So you just wear it, and you wear it on the inside of your wrist, and it helps just clean up your blood. So I just out of habit use it. It makes me feel good. So I do it when
Whatever
I'm
works,
working.
lad. Yeah, whatever works, isn't it? If it works,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's the thing about it. And obviously, if it works for you, like do you do any of the Wim Hof stuff or the grounding or
I do the
cold plunge
grounding.
or sauna?
I do the grounding. So I've got myself. It's good you brought that up actually. So I've got a grounding sheet, not like a tent grounding sheet, but an actual bed sheet that is
You
grounded.
need a
So
piece of grass or a piece of like, I know what you
oh,
mean.
I've
You
got
were in the
that as
city.
well. So I'll ground out
That's
in
the
the
best
garden.
thing for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best thing for you.
Yeah, I do that. I do the barefoot walking out in the grass. Ricky does that. Ricky Lambert, you know Ricky?
Yeah, he's another one who thinks he's been accused of being in the tinfoil club, hasn't he, Ricky? He said some stuff on
Wear
kind
it
of
like
15-minute
Tyrion Lannister
cities.
says, wear it like a badge of honor. Like you get it, Joe. You've had to wear your badges of honor. Me, Matt, Ricky, all of us.
I've been in. I wouldn't say they put me in a kind of padded helmet. They just think I'm an absolute lunatic. So like they don't even give me the credit of being a tinfoiler. So I've just had my hard hat on for a while. So I've been the black sheep, getting rocks thrown at me and throwing rocks back at them. So and the problem you've got is it's so easy to pick holes in their absurdity. I mean,
yeah.
The whole COVID thing for me was.
Joey,
I think when they lost the minority,
does a lion worry about the opinions of a sheep? No.
Yeah. I think we all want to go through life. I actually want to get along with people. I don't really want to fall out with people. But when you're obnoxious or you're absolutely absurd in your kind of logic, I think it's important to disagree. Hey, as I say, there's always going to be people who, no matter what, will just not change their opinion, whether that's from a religious standpoint, whether something's happened in the family and they 200 years ago or 300 years ago, some people, in spite of all the evidence, cannot alter
what do you think about old souls? So one thing, when you said that about how people see things and not change their opinion, I mean, people don't, it's up to them. Whatever they want to have their opinions on, that's fine. Matt, when he was here with me last week here on the show, he was saying about the thing is we can understand their perspective. So it makes total logical. I can understand people's opinions. I can understand their disagreements. I can understand why they think things are nuts. I can understand why they think things could be the case. But Matt was saying, like, well, when you can see other things, I think the people that have the opinions, it's just crazy. They can't actually see it. And so from that perspective, it's like, you know what, fair play. If they can't actually see it, if it's not in them, they can't see it. You can only usually see something that's already within you until you get presented it with over and over again. And you're like, okay, I'm aware of that now. But it's quite often just whatever is in someone's soul, in their makeup. They're the things it's like if you're a positive person, you naturally think when you interact with people, well, they're going to be positive. They're going to be such and such. But it's only in time that you actually realize, well, those people are just like me. And then in time, others may not be, and they might have put on a fake smile at the time.
But again, look, I have a different kind of way of viewing the world just because of the people I've met across my journey, from all different backgrounds and weird and wonderful personalities. And what I find is, every single person is bespoke to them. Even through identical twins, brought up same household, can be absolutely fundamentally different people because like our fingerprints, we're all bespoke to the interactions that take place with all of us, and it form I think you're born with certain characteristics. Have you cut them?
Do you like them now, Joe? No.
Like you've got honestly, it looks like you use all the proper stuff that you see the girls using with the nail file and all.
Got my manicure like David Beckham. So that's why I could get them immediately. They're right there because I'm always clipping them. I just have.
Well, this will be because you're positive blood thing. So if you want to grow your fingernails, get one of them watches and you have to get the measurement. Pity it doesn't do it for your fringe, lad. Pity it doesn't get your fringe going. Maybe you need to change the frequency.
I know. I need to change my
because your beard's a cracker.
Change my history. And
change
this
your frequency.
Say again.
You might have to change the frequency to get the top of your head going there.
I know.
Why is it people who? Why have you always? I can't grow a beard. What?
Can you not?
I can't. It just doesn't grow here. I'm not a proper man. I feel like a Chinese. I get like a Chinese goatee and then like hairy patches. But I've always wanted to have a proper beard, but I can't. I mean, you can make rope out my hair.
Joe, get on these.
I can't get a
you get on these. So this is shungite and orgonite. Orgonite in numbers is 103. Shungite is 103. Shungite comes from a meteor place in Russia.
What do you do? Just smoke that?
No, this is a sleeping pod. So you put it. I put that in the bed. You can put it in your pocket.
Like a butt
So
plug?
Shungite. What's that?
Like a butt plug?
No, it's not like a butt plug. No. No. This is a sleeping pod.
Go on.
And so Shungite and Orgonite comes to 206 together. Comes to actually our friend Matthew Letitia, 206 comes to quantum physics. So Shungite and Orgonite, 206 quantum physics. Look into you're into the Hancock stuff and pyramids. I think you'd really like the Shungite. I think you'd like Shungite, Joey.
Oh, so all crystals and I mean, I believe we're components like with carbon, protons and electrons. So
yeah,
neutrons.
It's the foolery.
I believe there's there's something in energy. There's something in certain metals. Obviously, magnetic fields where if you go to the North or South Pole, or there's other places on the planet, whether it's Bermuda Triangle or in Ibiza, kind of Esvedra. So energy and frequency and stuff. I actually haven't been yet. I've been to Ibiza once, but I've never been to Esvedra. But I do intend to go next time I go there, because I only heard about it as I was coming back.
Yeah,
and it's like a magnetic.
It's great.
Isn't it?
It's amazing. I've only been to Ibiza once. Ibiza in numbers is 47. France 47, John 47, time 47, and the atomic number for silver is 47. So it's a special place, Ibiza, and Esvedra is
it's like a magnetic spot, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. Okay, I'm going to ask you this. What are your actually? I did ask it at the beginning, but we didn't get an answer. Do you ever see recurring numbers for you, or have you got a favourite number?
Do you know what?
Not really.
So much. No, not really. And then, and when I had my best season, probably my most complete season in terms of performance, for Burnley. And when I went there, the only number available was 13, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's unlucky. It's only a sub goalkeeper's number." And I was like, "Fucking get it on." I just kind of embraced it. Like, I'm not, superstitious stuff like that. I really struggle with. I mean, I've been an atheist before. I'm now a little bit more agnostic and a bit spiritual and a bit like unknown and happy never to know, by the way, but open-minded, prepared to laugh at it. Don't think anything or anyone has got all the answers. Some people have better answers than others, but not everybody. I think when we fall into that trap, you'd end up kind of Joseph Stalin, Adolf Hitler, the kind of supreme leader nonsense, Justin Trudeau. And I don't think any one person should be entrusted with that amount of power, because power corrupts.
It does. Power should be diffused equally amongst all of us. We're all energetic beings.
Well, as I said to you, for me, democracy ended when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. From what I know, my understanding of history, I don't think the world's ever been, and obviously some other big murders that year. Obviously, Martin Luther King being, probably the biggest impact. And I don't think we've ever recovered from that. I think it's been cloak and dagger from the people we've entrusted with power. Whether that's and the disappointing thing in the UK is, there was a standard of there was an operating standard for the people who were entrusted with responsibility and power, and that has just been absolutely eroded. And I think it's shocking, and I think people should be held accountable, not just on COVID, but obviously all the stuff that's gone on. Whether it's
Nuremberg
PPE,
2.0
stuff, I mean. The problem we've got is the unvaccinated and the vaccinated who are really agitated by it and angry by it are in the minority. Because the useful idiots have already made their minds up and jumped off that cliff and are gonna die on that hill.
Yeah, it's interesting. The thing is as well, like you found this. I mean, talked about people changing their opinions. If you mess with someone's belief, it's like their sacred cow. It's like their identity. It's like, it's a big thing. You can kind of do other things for job, but fundamentally, people's beliefs are their identity. And when you
The
mess with
worst
that,
one I found is, Tom, is when it's somebody like a father's belief or a mother's belief or a grandfather's belief or a
impregnated
grandmother's
onto
belief.
them.
They're the ones that I find the most deeply ingrained, when actually I think the person who's closer to it is capable of, forgiveness or seeing it a different way. But once it becomes generational, it's like the big problem we're going to have in these kind of hotspots, in these war zones. It's not what's happened in the last period. It's what it leads to in the next 20, 30 years. Because, if somebody bombed my house and killed my mum and dad, and that made me an orphan at a young age, it would definitely radicalize me to be anti whatever that set of people who murdered my parents.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I think justifiably so. And this is the thing that strikes me about the media. Like, how are we not doing everything we can to de-escalate every military situation? Why are we actually picking sides, and why are we supporting, or by not challenging it, actually, you're still supporting it? And then again, you're seeing marches for the terrorist organization on the streets of London. But then, if you're against that, but you obviously you don't want to support obviously a regime that's indiscriminately killing some innocent women and children.
No, of course not. You talked about John F. Kennedy and the end of democracy. Have you been to Dallas or Arlington Cemetery at all?
No, I've read and watched a lot of documentaries about it 5 or 6 years ago. Obviously, just out of curiosity, because obviously it was a major world event, and there's lots of noise about it, from all the different conspiracy theories to the multiple shooters to actually what you said earlier. Did the shooting actually even take place?
Yeah, I've been to Dallas. I've been to Elm. So it's on Elm Street. This is not funny, but
is it on Elm Street?
Yeah,
Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
I used to put the shit up me as a kid, that movie.
Yeah.
Like your nails before you chop your nails, you were like Freddy Krueger.
No, I was
A big
Wolverine,
glove
not
like that.
Krueger. Kruger's a bastard, and I was
Krueger. Well, that's what I was saying, with your big fingernails before, you were like Krueger with that big chopping hand you had. No, you're sorted now. You've sorted them now.
Yeah.
So Elm Street, all right.
Elm Street happened on, and where they say where the death shot was, there's an X. So there's literally an X that marks the spot. In numbers, we're in the year of 2024. 24 is X is the 24th letter. It's interesting that Twitter changed their name to X. Twitter in numbers is 11/5, 115. 11/5 can be a date, i.e. November 5th. And then they changed it to X, and it's like X is 24. So November 5th, 24, Twitter plus X. It's interesting that that's the case. And then if you go to Arlington Cemetery, just across the water from Washington, DC, I've been to the cemetery, and it's the eternal flame. So John F. Kennedy eternal flame is 243 in numbers. But when you look at it aerially, it looks like a big Q. Have you seen that?
No. So you on about QAnon or something here? You're taking me down this one.
I wanted to see what you thought about it, but
I watched the BBC document. There was a BBC in Our Times or something like that. There was a good program on BBC about it. It was interesting.
Okay.
And again, it's people who are like as I say, people who are looking for sequences and looking for codes, and obviously, you're more susceptible to see them because you're looking for them. It's like if you walk out in the street and you've got your eyes closed, you're not going to see football.
You're going to see red buses everywhere. Yeah.
Well, again, some people see Robin Redbreasts and say, "Oh, that's my Uncle Johnny." Peter Kay's famous stand-up about the packet of crisp. Oh, he loves salt and vinegar crisp. Yeah. I just think, I think emotion and that, we know from medicine and obviously, hallucinogenics and mushrooms and stuff like that. That
have you done mushrooms, Joe?
Yeah, I have not as much as I would be able to give kind of a qualified opinion, but it's certainly mind altering.
Yeah.
You see things and think about things differently. So for me, it challenged my kind of understanding of perception. I think it's important. I think it's I had to live like a kind of like a monk to be a footballer. You know, you could maybe have a
Yeah.
pint, but you obviously couldn't do anything extracurricular, or certainly, you know, the amount of times we got tested at the top level, it wouldn't be worth your while, because they were quite draconian in suspensions for stuff that went on the field. You know, and at that time, you know, I famously remember kind of Adrian Mutu getting a contract torn up by Chelsea. So it just wasn't.
Yeah, Mutu.
It wasn't something I wanted to do. But then obviously once I retired, you know, you want to experiment a little bit, and you know, obviously being in the right setting, you know, you want to explore the different parts of your mind. I always believe the mind is a tool, and obviously, you know, there's certain ways to access certain portals. You know, obviously alcohol's a way lots of people do it, or caffeine, or food for some people. Some people need a dopamine hit via gambling or sex or whatever it is. But I think you have to explore yourself to try and understand what's going on around you a little bit better. And as I say, for me, you know, having a go on the mushies, it just makes you think about things completely differently. So, you know, just as it was, I picked up the Hancock book, and in the last page, he's talking about DMT, something I've not done. But in the right setting, I think I'd have a go at it, because they say it's this spirit molecule, and it gets you kind of, people come out of it having a kind of profound experience, or some people come out of it terrified. So, you know, I don't know, mate, but I am naturally inquisitive. And as I say, you know, I've lived for a large part of my life, kind of 35 years of my life, very, very straight and very, very down, because I was trying to become an expert at something.
Is it 7 years since you've been, 6 years since you've been retired then,
Yeah.
Right.
And obviously I've managed for like four and a bit of them. So
got promotion.
Yeah. That was some day, 7-0. I don't know what's that got to do with we were 4-3 the week before, which adds up to 7, and then 7-0 the week after, which adds up to
7's in your Twitter handle, yeah?
And we finished third. Yeah, it was only because that
I was at
7 number at Newcastle at the time.
7-3's Joseph.
I know, but I was at Newcastle at the time, and my shirt number was 7, so I couldn't get Joey Barton on its own, so I just put the 7 in there, and I could get the Twitter handle, which I should have really done in hindsight, because it's caused fucking chaos.
Well, you know, when you did Joey 7 Barton, so that's 132 Princess Diana, and when you quoted, and you said,
you're still saying so you're saying she's alive then? She's in witness protection.
Yeah. No, I'm taking you back to the tweet that you referenced, and you said Princess Diana. It's just funny when you referenced that tweet and all the stuff in it. I was like, here we go. There's loads of numbers. I saw him immediately on it. That's just what happens, you know. So
go on.
But is number 7 that was your favourite shirt number then? Was that the one you played in?
No, I just ended up with it when I went to Newcastle. Whoever was in there, I wanted number 8 because I was number 8 at Man City, but somebody had the number 8. So the next available was 7. I didn't really want 7 because it was Kevin Keegan, and it was a big number at Newcastle. But the next number was like 19 or something, and I was like, I'm not taking 19. So I just stuck the 7 on my back and made the best job I can to try and live up to what was a big number at that football club.
Do you have a favourite team that you played for out of all the teams you played for?
No, not really. No, I enjoy playing for all the different clubs at different junctions, even the ones where it didn't kind of. People think that you've got to be successful to like look back favourably upon moments, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think sometimes failing and getting it wrong and being humbled and making mistakes, I think, you know, with a bit of time, obviously it's not nice in the here and now because nobody wants to, you know, fuck up. But obviously with a bit of time and separation between it, you know, you realise what you could have done better, obviously what you would do if you had your time again, and you know, you're thankful for that life experience. You know, you can't just have positive life experience, because that's not reality.
Yeah.
It's actually more a series of negative, a little positive, negative. You know, once you get your head around that and you think, you know what, I can't say faces every day. You know, there's going to be days I wake up that I'm going to be better than others. And then for me, I just got to the point where I want to get on with people, but I have no problem disagreeing with people. I have no problem saying stuff that I know will absolutely offend somebody. Because I'm just like, you know what, I kind of give up hope for you all during COVID, because I thought you were fucking nuts. You know, you were driving around in your cars with masks on your own. I'm like, what you were burning 5? I'm like, what's going on here?
I know.
Like, you know, we've got to be And then the thing was all the, you know, the dishonesty about what the government did, you know, whether it was the PPE for the cronies or whether it was just disobeying the rules and having parties and basically
visits to party. Yeah, I know.
So at that point, it's like you know, I think we should all live in our own little independent republics, and you know, an Englishman's home is his castle.
Yeah, exactly. Be sovereign.
Yeah, an Englishman's home is his castle. Why are we paying council tax? Because the roads have all got fucking potholes in. It seems to be going for stupid shit rather than stuff that's needed in the local community.
You should come on my I do a sovereign course with a few friends, and Pete is just amazing. He knows all that stuff. He's brilliant.
I don't get why people. Surely we can just opt out and say, look, we've respected the royal family for whatever, but like we don't want. But I don't think we can. So in essence, are we captive? No,
there's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. And it's not. It's something I have an interest in, and I'm an observer. But Pete, that I do, is on tonight actually on the sovereign course. But he's brilliant. I did a show about.
Surely that's a movement. That's a really interesting movement.
Yeah,
because
it is.
I'm imagining, you know, what's council tax is 1,500 quid or something like that, maybe more, depending on where you live, let's say. But I imagine you'd be able to spend that better on yourself and your house than the council would for you.
Of course.
And, you know, obviously your bins and stuff like that. You know, the roads. So I always look at it because I always go, why don't people just say, look, we're opting out. You know, we're going to do our own thing. You know, it's like when I look at you and I go, if you know numbers so well, why don't you go to the casino or the bookmakers and absolutely clear up, and then there'll be no one who can challenge you because you know the weight of evidence is there in your bank account.
Well, that would be. I hear what you say with that, Joe. I think that would be a slightly different skill in terms of predict. So I read the numbers. I've got certain dates I think they're important, and I'll kind of see when we get to the November. But I've thought that. Okay, I'm going to tell you an interesting story.
You're not like Rain Man. You're not like
no,
Dustin Hoffman.
No, people have said that, but no. You know what though? I'm going to tell you an interesting story about that. So I'm not a big better. I've maybe placed one
gambler.
Yeah, gambler. Not really. I take risks in life, but in terms of money bets, I'm not. But I thought this early. So the Champions League final in either 2020 or 2021. It was Thomas Tuchel's Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich. Was that 2020 or 2021?
I know. Yeah,
it was empty stadiums. It was one of those. Anyway,
must have been 2021 if it's empty.
Yeah. So I got like a free bet, like a $5, and I was like, right, I'm going to try and do the numbers on it. So this is what happened. So I went and I've got this thing, obviously 88 miles per hour, Trump 88. I was like, I'm gonna put my free bet on, and I think I doubled it up to a tenner, so I put another $5 on, and I'm gonna put a bet that the winning goal will be in the 88th minute. Well, I was half right. Okay, Kingsley Coman scored the only goal of the game, the winning goal. The number on the back of his shirt is 29. Diana, interestingly enough, is 29. Anyway, he scored it in the 59th minute. 59's Joker. So the Joker card, Trump card. Anyway, if you add 59 plus 29, it comes to 88. So I was half right, and I think the universe was saying like.
And he was born and he's French. Is he from Paris? And she obviously died in Paris. Diana,
well, that numbers I got the numbers half. I got them right.
Where do you think she is then, Tom? What's the script? Where's she now then? Where's Dodi Al-Fayed and where's Diana?
I don't know where they are. I have a feel. Well, okay. I think sometimes she's at Mar-a-Lago.
Donald Trump's gaff.
I think so.
Yeah. Surely someone would have seen her. She's quite a notable person.
Okay, let me share some more numbers with you. You ready for the rabbit hole, Joseph Barton?
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready. I prefer evidence than numbers, but yeah, go on.
I'm ready
for whatever you've got.
I'm sorry, numbers. These are my evidence. So, Mission Impossible is 217 in numbers. Lady Diana Francis Spencer is 217 in numbers.
What's Mission Impossible? The actual say in the movie.
All the TV stuff. Yeah, Mission Impossible comes to 217. Comes to Lady Diana Francis Spencer. Mission Impossible Mask comes to 261. Princess Diana.
Mission Impossible mask.
Yeah, mask. You know, like the Mission Impossible mask.
I just remember Tom Cruise in it. What did he have a mask on or something?
Yeah.
All right.
So Mission Impossible Mask, if you do that sentence, that phrase, it comes to 261 in numbers. August 31st comes to 261 in numbers. Diana passed in 1997 in Paris on August 31st, 261. JFK, John F. Kennedy in 63, when you said the end of, democracy, November 22nd in numbers is 261, which is Mission Impossible Mask again. John F. Kennedy Jr., JR, is 261. The
Plane
Project
crash,
Looking
was it?
Glass is 261. What's that?
Was he a plane crash? Was he, Junior?
Supposedly.
The
Basically, the
Kennedys
thing
have had
is,
terrible luck, haven't they? But obviously, Bobby Kennedy got slotted as well.
yes,
And then
yeah.
the case of the Kennedy family. Do you know his father was the ambassador to the UK in the Second World War?
Was he?
Yeah, Joseph Kennedy, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Irish, obviously, Irish, American, or East Coaster.
Yeah.
And he was the ambassador to the UK during the Second World War. So obviously the Lend-Lease agreement, so think about what he was involved in there. I like Robert Kennedy Jr. now, albeit I don't know whether he's going to run, but I do. He's been really interesting with some of the stuff he's done on Anthony Fauci and the vaccines, and
yeah. He's supposed to come on my show. I spoke to Robert a few times end of last year, and he said he'd come on. It's not happened yet, but I've spoken to him a couple of times about coming on. Whether he will or not, we'll see. But
be a good guess for you to get that, mate.
Yeah, RFK.
So where's Diana then? Where is she? Mar-a-Lago. Why did they kill her? Because she was pregnant at Dodi.
I say sometimes. I think she might have visited there a few times. But where she is physically right now, I don't know. But I honestly just.
But surely William and Harry. Surely Harry, if he's fucking written books with Meghan, that's the first thing. If he throws that bombshell at the Royals, it'll bring down the kind of. I think something like that at this moment in time after Prince Andrew, the Queen passing away, I think would destabilise the Royals probably beyond survival. If we were to find out Diana was in fucking Mar-a-Lago, Tom, like, come on, it would
sometimes, not all the time,
shake the snow globe as we know it.
Well, if you do the numbers on Diana, so if you do Diana Spencer, comes to 109 in numbers, comes to the word witness. It comes to the word 17, 109. My channel, Site Club. Q numbers is 109. Diana, so you wanted to know where I first got the numbers from. I'll tell you exactly what happened, Joe. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what the heck's gone on during coronavirus. All right. And
China.
Which was
he told you, he did tell you, he did say it, and a lot of mainstream, like a lot of
China in Ukraine.
Mainstream evidence now is suggesting it was actually leaked or got out of a leak in Wuhan. So to be fair to Trump, and when he talked about hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, they were right. So that it is important to keep your mind open but this is the problem. Just because they've been wrong, doesn't mean they're wrong on everything. And just because you've been right doesn't mean you're right on everything also. We've also got to debate everyone all the time and question everything all the time. It's the only way we can have a healthy society.
I totally agree.
But I agree with you, Tom. The problem we've got now is I consider myself from the left, grew up in working class part of Liverpool. Yeah. And now, anyone who disagrees, people on the left don't want to have a discussion. If you don't agree with them, they want to cancel you or put you in the ground. At least the people who are being labelled as to the right are prepared to discuss and have discourse and disagree and challenge stuff. The problem we've got at the minute is, these, as I say, these useful idiots, these two opposing sides. And unless we have good, healthy debate and obviously be able to laugh at ourselves and stuff like that, then the consequences of it are very, very dangerous if we don't stop taking ourselves as seriously and as if we've got these immortal, because we're not immortal, and we're very, very close to an escalation in a conflict that could destabilize the whole planet.
You're right. It's ramping up, and it's coming to a head, and we're going to see how it plays out.
So where's Dodi Al-Fayed then? Is he in Mar-a-Lago as well?
Well, I'm not. So you said where's Diana? I said I don't know, but I think she's been at Mar-a-Lago sometimes. I think she's connected with with the Kennedys, with the Trump family, the witness protection program. That's my thoughts.
Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's dead. No, I think that's going to come.
Robert Maxwell.
See, that's a good question. That's a good question.
They're all linked. Like, you just follow the.
I know.
Just follow the chain. They're all linked.
I know. These families, it's like you've got these.
So you know, Robert Maxwell was in the Second World War. Obviously opposed the Nazis, and when the town he's from, when the Allies came through, he was part of the resistance. Obviously, being Jewish, he was part of the resistance. And when the Allies came through, he actually, whoever was in charge of the village for the Nazis, obviously tried to blend back in, and Maxwell went back in and executed lots of them. And then when he died, he's buried out in, I think, Temple Mount. Is he out in the famous Jewish graveyard out in Jerusalem or Bethlehem? So Maxwell obviously owned the Daily Mirror, obviously, and Ghislaine and Epstein. So it is a strange little rabbit hole you can end up down. But obviously he was a massive, he was kind of Rupert Murdoch before Rupert Murdoch, wasn't he, Robert Maxwell?
Yeah.
Owned Oxford City, is it Oxford United, sorry. Owned, I think, Derby County at one point, the Daily Mirror, and obviously fell off the back of his yacht.
As you do.
And then that's the thing about it, like, that we are living in crazy times, as I say, federal prison, maximum security, and obviously somebody who's, child prostitution to all the rich and powerful just manages to hang himself in his cell. Like, it is nuts, isn't it? It's nuts, like, actually, when you think about it. And then if you say that you're labelled as a tin foil hat, you're nuts, because you're going, hang on a minute. Like, I'm looking at it going, if I fart in public, the police are sniffing around it to see if I fucking released it and can they charge me for it. And yet, here's somebody who's, you've got Ghislaine Maxwell in jail, but nobody who she's trafficked to for child trafficking or trafficking people, but like, who she trafficked to. And then the main witness actually conveniently...
So that goes back to, Joey, so you're hitting on some good hard stuff. So the question you were saying, well, why are they in witness protection? It's like, if you've got a corrupt society by and large, and there's lots of bad players, and the media makes you think, well, these are people that we worship, and that, they're squeakier than squeakier. It could be that there's a handful in and amongst that they've known what's gone on and they weren't part of that. They've had to escape it. And then it's like, well, what would you do? Would you get done by them, done over? Or if there was an option to go into something like witness protection, you would take that. And then to, like, where are they? It's witness protection. It's like super top secret. You don't know where they are.
Antarctica.
Bingo.
Well, there's these people, like, you obviously got people who believe there's kind of subterranean cities built in, and obviously, I don't know, and I'm never going to be smart enough to know. But also, I think that's, they can't even cover up
Twin Cities
expenses scandal. Everything seems to get out. The big disappointment for me was, obviously, Trump said he was going to release the kind of declassified stuff.
The JFK stuff,
on JFK, and he never. So I'm like, why have they never done that? I think that must put the American kind of security agencies in finger pointing.
I do think that's coming, though. I do think that's coming.
Well, again, the problem you've got is, it looks like it's going to be Alan Dulles and obviously the CIA that the fingers, the obviously, fingerprints seem, so it looks like a military coup d'etat from within. America landed the free, has assassinated more of its own presidents than any other country, hasn't it?
Exactly. I mean,
and I just think we got to be careful here, not setting our moral compass by the states, because it's fucking nuts. America's 300 and odd years old, and it's nuts. It's a mad place. People are armed to the teeth. Like, the problem we've got here is, we look at America, the Black Lives Matter and all the nonsense that happened over there washed over here, because we consume a lot of American media, and we've now sensationalized being a victim and repatriations and all that. So we're gearing our society towards a downfall, when, the British society's been built on good hard work and being prepared to get your hands dirty and muck in and get the job done. And now we're teaching kids to fucking be theoretical. Don't do any work. Actually organise other people to do the work. Be fucking bone idle. Try and claim disabilities as much as you can. Try and game the system as much as you can. And it's unsustainable.
Yeah. It needs a sea change in every department and every.
So this is why these individual sovereign kind of people, I'm like, you know, it'd be nice to see the people stand up. I'm on the verge of, I may well move. That's how discontented I am. I mean, the weather's not fantastic, so can any country be, you know, can any
Where do you
country
think you'll go? Tenerife?
I don't know, somewhere warm. Just somewhere warm. You know, I lived in the south of France for that year, Tom, and you know, just waking up in the morning and knowing when you'd open the curtains, it's likely to be sunny. Your mood is lifted. Where here you're like, you open the curtains and it's like fucking roulette. It's like Russian roulette. Some days you're like, fucking hell, it's pissing down again. And you know, the only thing that's kind of keeping me here at this moment in time is kind of the older people in my family, and you know, but you know, I'm charting the way the world and the politics of certainly our country are going, and you know, as I say, for me, it's like, look, if you know, if I'm going to get fucking locked down again, I might as well get locked down somewhere warm.
Somewhere warm. Politics in numbers is 111. Illusion 111.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you go back into, I did a little year doing the philosophy, and it was really interesting learning about law and order and all kind of where politics and all this stems from. And it does give you a different view of it. You know, the problem for me is if I was in a business, Tom, and I came to yours and you said, right, can you fix me boiler? Yeah, I'll do it. And this is the type of job I'll do. And then I didn't do the job. You'd be phoning me up saying, you best get back and fix this. You know, you said you were going to do this, and now you haven't done it. All these politicians, and you'll see it this year, they'll tell you all these things they're going to do in the manifestos, and then absolutely deliver none of them. And I'm saying, we can't now remove you for 4 years. We should be able to go back in and say, no, you said you were going to do this. You haven't done it. We're now taking that responsibility away from you, and we're going to give someone else a chance. And we're not waiting fucking 4 years. And the sooner we start to take back control and realize they actually work for us, we don't work for them. And if we're clever and we're strategic and we can pool our experiences, then we can certainly hold them accountable.
Yes, I agree. I do think a sea change is coming. I think because of the events of 2020, there's more and more of these pockets of sovereign people trying to do things, and I think there will come a time where it will reach a critical mass. Because of events that are going on, it will squeeze, and then the people will come out victorious. I do believe that. I fundamentally.
Well, I think they overplayed their hand in the COVID thing, and obviously the lies and the stuff that they've been caught up in afterwards. I think what happened then is I think at that point, I think they had the majority of kind of people in terms of, I think most people believe the news, most people believe the media, not all people, but most. And
fake news.
Yeah, I think the whole process of kind of what people went through and what happened in their everyday lives made, you know, a few different lights come on for different people. And I think at that point, I think they lost the majority. I think, and they'll be shown this at the polls, obviously when the date's set for it. And I think they'll realize just how badly people felt let down by what's happened. And let's hope, you know, this is a wake up call to them all, and that, you know, we find a different way of governance, because, you know, the last 15, 20 years, it's been, you know, from the Iraq war that Labour marches into to pretty much, you know, every single year under the Tories, it's been dreadful. And I don't think it matters what party we've got, that you know, two cheeks of the same arse, they're all as bad as each other. You know, there's a few you know, the Reform and the Green Party and the kind of distraction parties or protest parties.
Exactly.
But I would like to see a lot of independence and a lot of sovereignty in terms of people standing up for their local area or you know, whatever that is, and being accountable. You know, if you say you're going to do something, you should do it. You know, and if these people are promising you, if you vote for me, I will do this, this, and this. You know, what was the NHS will save £300 million a day? Turned out to be a load of fucking shit, didn't it? and there's just no accountability. And then the next week they're saying, you know, something completely different, or 6 months later they want to get a different voting angle, and they're actually contradicting what they've said in order to get your vote off you. And you know, the media are culpable in this, you know, because the media, you know, spin it to suit, you know, whatever narrative.
It's a PR corporation, isn't it? It's a 24/7 PR corporation.
Yeah, and it's sad because, you know, the people are being let down, and as I say, until we change that, you know, I don't think we should be, you know, getting distracted with anything else other than sorting out our local communities, you know, road by road, borough by borough, you know, city by city, if that's the case, because, you know, certainly what I'm seeing in the world that I'm living in at this moment in time is, you know, people are becoming dehumanized towards other people who are struggling, or other people who are under, you know, grave conditions where they're being bombed, which you know, and we're turning a blind eye to it. You know, whatever side you're on, whatever your belief is, you know, you've got to believe in humanity, and that could be your grandmother, that could be your daughter, that could be your son. You know, here, but for the grace of God, kind of go I.
Yes. We need peace. We need peace throughout the world.
Yeah.
Peace.
I mean, John Lennon was killed for that, wasn't he? You know, he spoke about this, you know, he said, you know, tyrannical people for tyrannical purposes or something like that. And he was shot for it. So, you know, will we ever get it? You know, the military industrial complex, you know, war makes money for people, and hopefully we do, but I mean, if I'm a betting man, I'm a numbers man, I would imagine it won't be in my lifetime.
There's a lot of evidence that seems to point that way, but I think for it to change, we do need a miracle, really, a God moment.
Well, I think if Trump gets elected, I think the war in Ukraine and the war in the Middle East will cease very, very quickly.
Yeah, it will. It will.
You know, so everyone goes on about Barack Obama and Biden, and I'm like, well, they've started more wars, and you know, the Biden pulled out of kind of Syria and Afghanistan, and like, you know, who knows what kind of vacuum they've left there. But as I say, you know, we won't know the ramifications of that. I know we're seeing it in Australia with the priest getting stabbed, and obviously the problem we've got is, you know, these bad seeds that have been planted by, you know, American foreign policy are going to bear fruit in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And, you know, if we don't get control of what's going on in Europe and certainly in the UK, you know, we could do something that's fundamentally damaging to our culture and our society, and we may never recover from it. So we need true patriots to step up to the fore. And, you know, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean you can put an ism at the end of it, or a phobic at the end of it. You've got to speak your truth. And if you see bad stuff happening, you've got to go and meet, you know, fire with fire sometimes.
Yes. Patriots, that's what we need. We do. We need to be sovereign. We need to stand up. And I'm an eternal optimist. I do believe that is coming. I don't know all the landscape between now and when that happens, but I'm hoping it might be sooner than maybe all of us could possibly fathom. But something is coming. You're right, Joe. Something is coming. It needs to change, and I think we just need a change in everything. I think from top down, we need a complete change in everything.
Well, the problem is, if you look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, it's now 2024. You know, just think about what technologies were available in 1945. You know, mobile phones, televisions, computer, internet, etc. All very, very primitive or didn't exist. And now it's 2024. Just imagine the weapons capabilities they have if they had that back in the day. So, you know, global conflict doesn't work for anybody because it's the end of everybody. And I think they could really simply solve this. But you know, George Orwell famously wrote about there's always a war in the East. It's always, you know, because it's big business, and, you know, you know, we should do everything we can to stop it. But also, you know, we've got to do everything we can to make sure it doesn't come to our fucking shores. And the way society's going, and the divisive nature of our media. They're trying to divide people on race grounds, on religious grounds, on ideology grounds, on who do you support grounds, on class grounds. And I think if we're not if we're not careful, it could well be a civil war, because when the left go left and the right go right, it tends not to end up in a good spot. It tends to end up with two ideologies that are diametrically opposed, and the only way to solve it is see you still breathing after this disagreement. That's the way it gets resolved. And I would imagine if you're in the gang of the left, as militant as they are, if you get in the trenches, you got to look at some of the people who are going to be surrounding you. A load of interesting characters, that's for sure, on the left.
Would you want to be in that bunker?
And I'm not sure you want to be in that bunker. You'd have to watch all orifices at all times, I would imagine.
Oh, that's funny.
I didn't think I'd be having this conversation with you today, Tom. I'm sitting. I was just going to do a bit of gardening when I'm going to put this down before the kids get in. But it's now 3:30, and I reckon they'll be in the next 10, 15 minutes, mate. Is there anything you haven't covered that you want to cover?
I wanted to ask you a little bit about football. Just
mate.
So, what would be your start? Well, first of all, do you think England could win the Euros?
Yeah, but they'd have to. I don't think we can with Pickford in goal, and I don't think we can with Southgate as the manager.
Okay.
I think you need those two, a goalkeeper and the manager. You need to be spot on, I think, to win a World Cup or a major tournament. I don't think you can have that chink in your armoury.
Okay. I love Sergeant Pickford, and he's much better for England than he is in the Premier League.
Because he has less to do.
Right. Yeah. I really like him.
He's not. I don't think he's a good goalkeeper because he's a busy goalkeeper. He's a goalkeeper that goes looking for work. The best goalkeepers are happy being dormant. And he doesn't have that quality. He's very. I mean, Neville Southall was asked about him a while back, and he said similar things. He gives him anxiety because he does always seem to be on edge of a calamitous moment. So,
Roy Keane's not the biggest fan of Pickford, is he?
I haven't heard him speak about him, but I can see why. He's a good keeper, and he's a good goalie. I'm not knocking him; he's not a bad goalie. But I think in order to win a major tournament, I just think England have got a couple of chinks in their armour that I think you need to be almost
impregnable,
almost perfect. There's certain weaknesses that I don't think you can have, and I think England have got a couple of ones that would unravel under major tournament pressure. But who knows?
I've only ever seen Pickford make one mistake for England, and he might have made more, but I've not seen. I can't think of one in a big tournament. He did that one in the last game that era, and he did against.
He's making one a game at the minute.
He is.
I mean, he was shite last night for Everton in the Chelsea game. He made a couple, and I just think, confidence is a fine thing, and
it is.
Sometimes you lose and it doesn't come back, and. He just doesn't fill me with confidence, Jordan. Just there's a few things about him that it would just put me off him. But again, he's a really good goalkeeper, plays for England, and will be England's number one in the Euros. But I think if he's the number one all the way through, I think it'll decrease our chance of winning the tournament.
You know what? If I had a magic wand and can wave it, I was at the final in 2021, and I remember my legs shaking after we were out. I was like, I can't believe we've lost. And in hindsight, I was like, I wish Pickford had taken one of the penalties because he'd saved two. He'd have been buzzing and he'd have belted it in. He scored in the.
He strikes a great ball, yeah. He strikes a great ball.
Scored in the penalty shootout in the Nations League the year before, but that's all hindsight. But so what would your 1 to 11 be in formation?
I've coached all different kind of styles as I've been learning the trade over the last 4.5 years. But I would base out off a 4-3-3, albeit I don't really I believe the formation is always in motion. So obviously when you're attacking, it's and that's the whole thing. It's like choreographed dance movement. So that's the challenge. Is obviously the better caliber players you work with, the quicker they pick up stuff. You know, it takes a
Tango.
while to learn how to do the tango. And obviously, for me, it's a team sport, football. It's not an individual pursuit. And the more in sync and on the same page the team is, the better it is. You know, Man City being a prime example of that. But also, it's still the most random sport on the planet, and has so many random permutations, from obviously the opposition trying to impact you, to refereeing decisions, to, you know, the elements. And, you know, you're trying to find structure and order in the midst of chaos. And therein lies the challenge, and that constant, you know, position of it. You capture something and your team's got it, and then the next opponent brings something different. And, you know, and the game's constantly evolving. You come up with something strategically or tactically or numerically in terms of the way you're moving through the pitch, and a team studies you and comes up with the counter attack to that. So it's chess with human beings as well at times.
Yeah.
And I think that's why for me, certainly, you know, it fascinates me.
Yeah, it's let's see. I mean, we've
And
got,
then the psychology and the emotion of it. You know, it's a very emotive game. You know,
yeah,
you see football crowds, they're unlike any other. There's no sport like a football crowd where people are singing, you know, the Cop famously singing the Beatles songs, and, you know, political messages, and standing up to authority. I mean, Yugoslavia was kind of the seeding of the revolution, was in the football stadiums. It's one of, you know, it's a very unique sport. You know, rugby, you know, those type of sports don't really have that. You know, a lot of football clubs grew up in and around the working class mining communities, and
yeah,
it was a rags to riches for kind of working class boys to become, you know, and this is what people miss in our country. There's a class system still sits there every time you read the papers or you read about a footballer. It's the underlying class system. We don't have it on skin tone. You know, we're getting distracted with colour and race and that and all the nonsense religion by the media.
Wow.
They never speak about the class system. Look at the way they speak about the working class people who've done well compared to the upper class people who've turned out to be absolute fucking idiots, absolute imbeciles because of the privileges. It's why when I hear people in the race baiters talk about white privilege, I'm like, whereabouts on the council estates of Northern England are you seeing these people who've benefited from slave owners and cotton plantations in the Caribbean and in North America 250 years ago? You know, we're all sons of Irish immigrants, and you know, we were the people who built the roads and the infrastructure. You know, the Irish in England and America. You know, the world's absurd at the minute. It really, really is. You know, and again, Tom, these victims, and everyone wants to be a victim, and instead of just getting after it, whether you're into numbers or just people pissing people off on social media like me, you know, just get after it every day.
Your birthday, September 2nd, 163 in numbers. Manchester City 163 in numbers.
163. That's Tesla 1, 3, 6, and 9, weren't he? It was into that.
3, 6, and 9. Yeah.
Do you know, for me as a footballer, because I'm born in Europe, and obviously if I was born 2 days earlier, I would have been the year above, but the youngest in the year above, 31st of August, because the school year is the 1st of September. And I was really small for my age. So I was born 2nd of September. So I was the eldest in the year above. It's why I've always done well in school, because I've always been a bit older than all the other kids.
Yeah.
But as a footballer, I was really small. And if I'd have been born 2 days before, I wouldn't have become a player, because I'd have been really small in the year above. I wouldn't have got a kick.
Well,
luckily, my mum kept me in for a couple of days. What's that?
Was that your due date, August 31st?
I don't know. I think I was due on the 2nd. So if it come 2 days earlier or whatever, I don't actually know. I might have been a week over. I've never asked my mum that. I'm going to ask her. Good question.
That's Diana's day. That's when she went.
But again, in North America, in the ice hockey leagues, it was 1st of January. So if you born 20, my lad's born 28th of December, he'd be the youngest in his year, because he's only like 4 days before the turn of the new year. And what they done a study of ice hockey players, and a disproportionate amount of them were born January, February, March. The next tranche of players were born April, May, June. And then the last bit was obviously the last quarter. And the reason, and in football, it was September, October, November, vice versa. So all the ones who were least amount were August, July, June. That it decreased your, if you were born in them months, it either increased or decreased your chance of being successful. And the reason being is you were bigger at a young age. So Malcolm Gladwell done this. It was Outliers. You were bigger at a young age, which meant you stood out more at 5, 6, and 7 because you were almost 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 months advanced. So the coaches then spotted you earlier, and you got the trial. So then you got bespoke coaching.
All the attention.
Because you were ahead at a young age, and then you never look back from it. And it makes sense. And in ice hockey, and as I say, in Canada and North America, it was because of the dates were set 1st of Jan. All their ice hockey, like Wayne Gretzky's like 13th of Jan or something like that, isn't he? Something mad like that. But yeah, so when you're looking at numbers, I mean, you know, it can sometimes be based on some of the stipulations that are put in there that throw up these random kind of sequences.
Yeah.
So Michelangelo and all that were big on numbers, weren't they? Or like Da Vinci and all that were all massive on numbers.
Yeah. I mean, the key to, if we're in a simulation or a matrix or a virtual reality of some description, then it would make sense that coding would be, you know, there'll be numbers, the integration between numbers and letters and words. And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, even biblically, it says, you know, in the beginning was the word, and then the 4th book is numbers. It's like, why do they call that numbers? It's like, it's there. There's codes within codes within codes, you know, and it's interesting when you... It
might have been some kind of lost, as I say, some ancient language that was lost in the cataclysmic events. You know, obviously we know the dinosaurs were here millions of years ago. So who knows what's in between that, you know.
Exactly.
You know, so we've, as I say, I think we know a lot and we're very intelligent, but there's also so much that we don't know, and we have to be mindful of. We think we know everything. As I say, modern science felt it knew kind of what had happened in history, and then Göbekli Tepe's found, and it challenges all conventions of what humans were capable of at that point in history. And I think the longer we go on, what I've realized, Tom, is, and I thought I always think I'm really intelligent. What I've found is the more intelligent you are, the stupider you actually realize you are, because you realize how little you actually know the more you learn.
I know. There's so much more.
Steve Black used to say to me, always be a student. And you know, the reason I took this today was obviously, you know, you meet different people and get different perspectives. So thanks for having me on, mate. I've enjoyed it. Thank
you, Joey. It's been great fun, but it's been great going through it all and hearing your perspective and sharing and for you being open to it. You know, it's like it's not the be all and end all, but it's fascinating. It's interesting.
A different perspective, mate. Yeah.
The different perspectives, and you said about intelligence. So even the word intelligence comes to 115, 11.5. That date again, it keeps popping up. And one thing I wanted, 5th of November. Yeah, I think it's key. We'll see. It'd be interesting to see this side of it and see what.
I didn't know the US election was set for that date. Is that a coincidence?
No, I don't think it is. I mean,
maybe there is no coincidences. Yeah,
that's the thing. I don't think it is. And this is something that I found really interesting. I did the codes on it in 2020, but it's come up in my periphery again. So you mentioned about peace, and so something that Trump did was the Abraham Accords, so making peace deals in the Middle East, and now we're seeing all the problems of that. And it's ironic that, you know, they're trying to hang him out in courts while this is all going on, you know. But I remember in 2020, he did a couple of peace deals, the Abraham Accords, and there was one, the second one he did, and he was there in the White House, and he's there with his team. Jared's there, and there's a whole bunch of guys. Some of them I didn't even know who their names were. But I've been looking at the thing of Usain Bolt. It come into my mind, start looking at Usain Bolt. You'll remember that Usain Bolt, and I've met Usain Bolt. I met him in the Olympics at dinner just 3 weeks after the Olympics. I also met Michael Johnson, the 200 and 400 sprinter.
Machine,
yeah, and he's
big straight back on him.
That's it, the chicken run, yeah.
He was a machine, yeah.
He was amazing, and I met him. But he does a brilliant advert about Usain Bolt. It's to do with Virgin Media, so they're advertising Virgin Media. And it's a brilliant piece of production. But Usain Bolt, it's all about him running the 100 in 9.58 seconds. It's like, why 9.58 seconds? So you're a fan of Interstellar. I don't know if you've seen the film Tenet, Nolan's one he did in 2020.
Yeah, I've watched it a few times. It fucking baffles me every time I watch
It's
it.
a mind
More
boggler.
questions than answers, yeah.
It is. But there's a part there when they're looking at the clock, when they're doing the thing in Ukraine, the red team and the blue team. There's parts where they look at the watch and it's 9.58 and then it counts down. It's like, okay. So I was like, what is it about 9.58 seconds? And you'll remember that Bolt won 9 gold medals, but then he had one of them redacted because of the relay. So it was 9 gold medals down to 8. Jamaica is 38 in numbers. Gold is 38 in numbers. Trump was born in Jamaica Hospital in Queens. Jamaica 138 is Jamaica Hospital. Donald Trump 138. Number 7 138. Anyway, 9.58 seconds. You've got the fastest man in the world. And I'd done these codes in 2020. Then I'm watching this thing with Trump's team doing the Abraham Accords. And it's all blown up in everyone's faces right now. And it could be the trigger of this massive thing that nobody wants. One of these guys comes out and speaks. He's not even given a name, but he's in the team that's doing this Abraham Accords. And the length of this video, you can see it on the Trump House archives. It's still there. I can send it to you. But the video length is 17 minutes long, dead on. 17's Q, connections to Diana and the Kennedys, the Q and all of that. But on 9.58 seconds, this guy steps out and he says, Iran, meaning Iran. And I was like, what the fuck's that? I was like, and I'd done the codes on it just the week before. Something was telling me, look at the stuff with Usain Bolt. I've met him. Michael Johnson I've met. And even the length of that piece of footage is 141 in numbers when you add it up, which comes to 9. Point is 74 in numbers. Gematria, 74. 58. If you do 9 plus 74 plus 58, it comes to 141. And I was like, that's the length of that video of Usain Bolt. 141 is Tom Bushnell. Then you click into the video and it goes to 140, which comes to the military, the Trumps, the quantum, magic quantum, Tom numbers 140. I was like, what the fuck's going on with this? But this guy steps out and says, Iran. And 9 minutes and 58 seconds, which is 9.58 seconds, Iran, Usain Bolt's the fastest guy in the world. Usain, when you do Usain Bolt, the numbers on that comes to 113, which comes to the word trumpet, comes to the word universe. I think we might need a God moment with all of what's going on in the world. And Usain comes to 64, which comes to Israel. And then Bolt is 49, yes. So it's like Iran, Israel, yes. Iran, Usain Bolt. It all adds up. It's like, what the fuck's going on? This is the stuff that I noticed, Joey. And it's
yeah,
like,
this the thing. You're very perceptive in terms of picking stuff up. Have you ever tried Sudoku or something to get into the Sudokus?
I haven't, but I should do the numbers on Sudoku. I'm sure it will.
Do you know what I mean?
Something.
You need to you want to try and get yourself a little spliff or a few magic mushrooms or something and just try and chill your brain out, lad. Because it can't be nice seeing all them sequences all the time.
I'm like Ridley Scott, the director.
Yeah, but you're looking for patterns, aren't you? You're all the time. You're constantly on the go. You're trying to recognize patterns or evaluate
I'm not
stuff.
even looking for them. What happens is they come and then I decode them. So I don't actually have to look for numbers. I don't painstakingly look around for new stuff. It just happens. I'm like, I could be texting with my brother. We're talking about something, and then someone will say the exact word that he's just texted me right there. It comes on the TV. Synchronicities happen all the time. I had one talking to Darth Vader, so I'll quite often do a decode on the Daily Star, the newspaper, and I'll show.
I know, but Tom, your brain's like it's like whatever you channel it into. If that's stamp collecting,
it does.
Gardening, if that's football, your brain is a tool that you've got to channel into. Some people now, this is the problem: is social media is capturing people down all these mad rabbit holes of and again. They formulate, whether it's flat earth or whatever it is, whatever the current topic is. But again, they can end up in these communities and these cycles where, they just get lost and then there's no way back out of it because they've spent 15 years, trying to solve QAnon and, chasing all these little symbols and, looking for all these signs. And the reality of it is, I think, whilst there is sequences and codes and, there is numerical patterns in the world, and obviously we are all, as I say, atomic.
I guess
we are all atomic at the level.
I think there's something far bigger than all of us understand on this planet, whatever it is, whether it's a
Yeah.
globe, whatever. I think there's something, simply we could call it God. God is
Higher
26.
power.
Higher power.
Yeah.
That will do. Higher power, whatever it is. And I think it's communicating with us.
But that's one of the first tenets of, like, if you go into AA or stuff like that, that there's something bigger than yourself, that you aren't, you know, omnipotent. You're, you know, it stops you becoming a megalomaniac. You know, that there's something bigger, whether that's a god, whether that's multiple gods, whether that's aliens, whether that's you know,
that's it.
I don't know, whatever it is you want to believe in. And I don't think that's necessarily. I think it's, you've got two options in life, to either be pessimistic or optimistic. It's just easier. Life's easier if you're optimistic. You know,
of course, it's a choice.
No one knows who's going to be right, but life's just a bit easier if you stay as an optimist. And I think as we travel through it, we try and understand stuff, because we have this yearning to know and try to predict the future and predict weather and predict, you know, how someone's life's going to play out. And then one thing that life teaches you is it's fucking random. You get up in the morning, you feel a bit iffy, you go to the doctors. Sorry, mate, you got leukemia, you got 6 weeks to live. Fucking hell. All of a sudden, you're not looking for fucking patterns in numbers anymore. You know, you're sorting your will out, and you're sorting your burial out, and you're getting ready to check out. And I think the brain's a really, really magical tool that, if we utilize it and if we focus it, it can do whatever you want to do. Like, I'm a testament to that. I was on a kid on the council estate who really wanted to be a footballer and thought about it.
And you manifested it. You created
manifested it. Yeah. You know, and it became me reality. You know, when it wasn't. So again, when we're looking for positive and negative vacuums, we can get caught up in it. This is why I think social media and the internet per se is very, very dangerous, because you're seeing kids now and they're like this, or even adults now, you know, they put the kids to bed and all of a sudden they're on the Facebook group to see if there's a fucking radar gun in Antarctica, you know, or if somebody's fucking been drinking kids' blood fucking in a pizza fucking house in, you know, and QAnon, and who is Q. And as I say, it's all distractionary measures for me, from focusing on yourself first and foremost, because if you don't help yourself, you can't help anybody else. And I see so many people in life, they're fucking intent on telling everyone what to do and helping everybody else, and the roof's coming off their house, the rot set in. You know, I got a great lesson from a great mentor of mine who's passed away now, Peter, and he used to always say, the first thing you got to do is keep your side of the street clean. You can't tell anybody how to live the life and what to do if you're, you know, your side of the street's a mess. And again, it's easy to help other people because that distracts from what's actually happening with you. And I think it's very, very important to be very, very clear on who you are and what you're about, and also to be prepared to be wrong and everything you've ever known to be wrong. You know, the amount of times I go through
everything we've been taught could end up being the exact opposite.
Well, again, it can, but also, like, you know, there's certain things like penicillin and stuff like that, you know, medicines that we trust. You know, there's lots of stuff. We are an embodiment of lots of stuff being done right. You know, we very rarely have poverty now. You don't see people starving or going hungry. You know, there is war on the planet, but it's 7-8 billion people on the planet. There's, you know, a small percentage of them who are actually killing each other. You know, and we media focuses on the negativity because negativity sells, or victimhood sells. You know, they don't put you don't see the front of the tabloids here saying, look at this fella's just gone out and bought this old woman shopping for her because he's just a good citizen. It's this fucking immigrant fucking mugged somebody because that's the fucking rhetoric they want to, you know, the fear mongering, which you've seen with COVID. It was a complete psychological operation in fear, in putting fear into the population. And I don't think they should be ever allowed to get away with that. And there should be a consequence for the behavior of people who were trusted with responsibility in those moments.
Coming. Here in closing, Joe, this is what I want to show you. You said about the papers. So I had this a few months ago. So I'll quite often put up my phone and I'll do a drink code on the newspaper. 1551 or 1551. Look at that. See that? See that? Yeah. It's gone to 2 now, so that's us fucked, but it's gone to 2 now. So the force be with you. But look, see, I've got a Darth Vader over my shoulder. You asked about it. See, I thought Darth Vader was a bad guy. But look at the pictures. See the pictures. So this is the Star newspaper. and they always do
Yeah.
code. They put stuff out. It's like someone's almost watching in the office.
The Daily Star.
The Daily Star. You spell the word Daily Star, it comes to 17 in numbers, 109. And anyway, I put up pictures of the Daily Star, and I'll teach my audience what's in the papers for that day. But it's funny because I've never seen Darth Vader hold up a mobile phone, but it's like I hold up a mobile phone and Darth Vader's over my shoulder. But they did that a few months ago. So and I always talk about the Daily Star as a particular. The Sun, you can get it. The Mirror, you can get him in all of them, but particularly in the Daily Star. Did it yesterday? So yesterday's
So
paper.
is he still in the Daily Star? Fucking Russell. What was his name? Russell, the fucking astrologer. What was what was that? The horoscopes and all that. Remember all that jazz was going round.
Oh, well, right. I'm not sure.
So do you
what
believe in
paper it was.
horoscopes and all that? Are you into all that astrology and horoscopes?
I'm far more into. So when growing up, I noticed the girls were into it and the guys weren't, and I wasn't into it. But I've noticed over the last few years, I'm open to pretty much. I'm open to have a discussion on anything, and I think there's some parallels with astrology. I'm not an
that's for
expert
you
on it,
then.
but
You got to get that Hancock Supernatural.
I
That's right up
will,
your street,
and I
mate,
watched that. I watched that.
yeah, it's good. Ancient
Netflix.
Apocalypse. Ancient Apocalypse. It's called. It's good.
Yeah,
It's just
I'll do that with
thought-provoking,
Netflix.
Tom. It is really thought-provoking.
Yeah. Well, I love
Well,
that
listen,
show.
mate.
I love
Listen,
talking
I'll
to
definitely.
people.
I'll come back on with you. Let's see how this lands, and we'll do a bit of further research, and we'll get back on. And I've
Okay,
enjoyed this,
yeah.
mate. It's been thought-provoking.
I've loved it. Yeah, I'll come. Yeah, we'll do it again for sure. Come on yours.
Absolutely.
Come on mine. It'd be brilliant. Yeah. Thanks,
And
Dave.
thanks for reaching out, mate, as well. Appreciate that. I've
I appreciate
enjoyed
it.
it.
When are you down? When are you down this neck of the woods next?
Do you know what? I haven't. I've been away the last couple of weeks, so I've got a like load of podcasts to record up here. So I'm going to spend the next 2-3 weeks up here, and then I will plan on getting down to the smoke. I spoke to the guys from Trigonometry as well about meeting up with them, and I've got a few friends in London. My old philosophy lecturer and a couple of pals of mine are down there, so I always enjoy coming down and seeing them.
Cool.
So we'll definitely touch base.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, buddy. Yeah.
But as I say, when are you putting this out next week? Are you going with this?
I think this
what
will
you
go
do
out
weekly?
probably. We'll probably put the intro on. Outro probably tomorrow.
All right, it's that quick, yeah.
Yeah.
Good turn.
I think so. Probably definitely within the next 48 hours it'll go out. Yeah.
Well, let me know and I'll jump on the socials for you, mate.
Sweet. Nice one.
Tom, nice to meet you, mate.
Top man. Thanks, Joey.
Keep asking questions.
You too, buddy. I love it.
Ta-ra,
Brilliant.
mate. Ta-ra.
Thanks, mate. God bless. Take care. Cheers.
Ta-ra,
Bye.
mate. Good man.
Bye.